the maximum level expert. She thrives in interstellar riches. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 701 Arrival at Planet 3047. 2. Wen Jiu was both expectant and nervous on the way here, so she rarely participated in the small talk between friends. She only thought seriously about the pills she had made in the past, and what she could take out for Yuruman to take. She remembered that Zhu Wangming said that the other party's recovery was not bad, and the most important thing now was the preparation for the skin grafting operation. There was no problem with the current medical technology to do the skin grafting operation, but it would take some effort to restore Yuruman's previous appearance. So she carefully recalled that she had learned several pill recipes for restoring appearance in the past, and maybe she could take them out and let Zhu Wangming adjust them and make them into medicine. Although taking pills would be more effective than taking medicine. After all, the pill recipes she learned were all taught by her master, and they were the accumulated efforts of many predecessors in the sect. If you want to make a medicine, you must adjust the formula, and the effect presented will naturally not be as good as the original pill. But she couldn't guarantee that her furnace would not explode when she made the pill. If there was an explosion, wouldn't it be very embarrassing, and Yuruman might even refuse to let her make the pill. After all, a furnace explosion sounds very dangerous, so she felt that the other party would definitely stop her from refining the elixir. Then she could only settle for the second best and let Zhu Wangming change the formula into a potion and give it a try. Wen Jiu was thinking about this when she was about to reach the hospital. Then she happened to see that the flower shop at the door was open, so she went in and bought a large bouquet of bright carnations. There were some things she couldn't say for the time being, but she could express them with other things. Teacher Yu, these are the carnations I bought for you. Because Yuruman was still unable to move, she put the bouquet on the bedside table. After the words fell, the other party leaned on the pillow and slowly said, "Thank you, Xiao Jiu. Have you been okay during this period?" The two of them had obviously seen each other many times through video calls, but now they still looked tearful when they met. Hearing this, Wen Jiu nodded and replied, "Teacher Yu, I have been very good recently." Then she briefly described her life during this period, and she also deliberately used some humorous and relaxed tones to tell it, which made Yuruman, who was leaning on the bed, and the others sitting next to her laugh uncontrollably. But she didn't tell all of it, and only picked out a part of it. For example, people like Lu Zuoying, Xiao Zhao and Xiao Li, she didn't want to mention them in front of Yuruman at all. Because the other party was hurt by them, he was injured like this by Blue White. So she only talked about some things that she thought were very interesting, such as she and Lu Yan went to search the research institute together but found nothing. And the other party didn't like to eat, but she started to enjoy the food with her and took her to the back kitchen of the restaurant to cook every day. Jiu, I didn't expect you to be so popular in the 1st military district. No wonder that guy would accompany you back to planet 3047. Ziking said this without any other intention. He just felt like making a joke, and he didn't think about it in other ways. He just thought Lu Yan had a good personality. No wonder he could become Jiu's new friend. Hearing this, Kaioshishi immediately said, "Yes, no wonder Jiu can cook every day on the starship of the 1st military district." She knew that Lu Yan took Wen Jiu to cook, because she often called him when she was free before, so she was the first to know about such interesting things. TSK, you eat delicious food every day, and we drink nutrient solution every day. Chu Jian stared at Wen Jiu meaningfully. The gap between people is too big. They stayed on Brick Star for nearly 2 months, and they could only drink the nutrient solution given by King Russo as a gift every day. Although those nutrient solutions were all high-end products, drinking a bottle of supplementary nutrition could be equivalent to 10 meals. But he and Kaioshishi and others all missed the food cooked by Wen Jiu very much. They were looking forward to reuniting with each other as soon as possible every day, so that they could have a steaming hot and delicious meal. Chu Jian, stop fanning the flames here. Wen Jiu understood as soon as he saw Chu Jian's eyes. Who told you not to cook? She really couldn't understand why old Chu was so simple and kind, but the other party's grandson was so keen on fanning the flames and watching the show. Hearing this, Stephanie, who had been hugging a pillow, couldn't help but say, "Oh, Jiu, don't bother with the little black cat." The little black cat also tried to cook, but almost blew up the kitchen. Huh? Really? There is such a thing? Why didn't you tell me? Wen Jiu asked with a puzzled look. She obviously kept in touch with everyone, but no one sent a message to share with her about Chu Jian's almost blowing up the kitchen. Well, Jiu, listen to my explanation. Kyoshi quickly told the story from beginning to end. She was afraid that Wen Jiu would have a gap with them because of this. It's not that they wanted to hide it from Wen Jiu, but it was too embarrassing to tell it out loud. If it was just Chu Jian who blew up the kitchen, it would be fine, but the problem was that she and Zikingai were also involved, which was very embarrassing. After listening to it, Wen Jiu couldn't help but hold his forehead and said, "I taught you so much when I opened the store before, but I didn't expect you didn't remember it at all. By the way, why don't you let Ukiki cook? He is the only apprentice I recognize." As soon as she finished her words, she saw Ukiki crawling out of the backpack and turned into a human form with a bang. The other party replied angrily, "Because in order to return to you, I endured humiliation and pretended to be a pet for almost 2 months." Wen Jiu understood when he heard this. All missing children are registered. If Ukiki rashly turned into a human form, it would definitely attract the attention of the 8th Military Region. It would be troublesome to explain it at that time. After all, few people now believe that small animals can be cultivated into spirits. Therefore, Ukiki has been pretending to be a pet on the starship, and it is impossible to ask him to come out to cook. It is also because of this that Kyoshi and others can only rely on themselves. While recalling the methods she taught before, they bravely try to cook by themselves. The result is that they almost blow up someone else's kitchen. As the saying goes, 3 cobblers can be better than Zhu Liang, but the 3 of them combined are not as good as Ukiki. So they discussed it and secretly concealed the matter. But they didn't expect Stephanie, the hateful traitor, to forget her previous promise as soon as she saw Wen Jiu. Talking about this, Zikingai on the side said weakly, "Sister Jiu, can you save us who can't cook? My stomach is growling with hunger." This is the first update of the day, please check it out. Little Angels. 030. Chapter 702 Arrival at Planet 3047. 3. It took them more than 3 hours to get from the Oriental port to the hospital, and then they stayed in the ward and chatted for such a long time. Before they knew it, it was 7 o'clock in the evening, and they would really faint from hunger if they didn't eat. But before Wen Jiu could answer, Kyoshi said directly, "Zikingai, you asked her to cook when she came back so late. Have you become arrogant after being a young master for so long? It's unfair." Zikingai hurriedly explained, "I didn't mean that. He hesitated for a long time and didn't know how to express it accurately because he really said those words subconsciously just now. In short, he spoke without thinking, but his tsundere nature did not allow him to admit this, so he just blushed helplessly. The 2 of them just stared at each other, and no one was willing to say a soft word first. Alright, stop arguing." Wen Jiu knew a fight between the kids was about to break out when she saw the 2 of them acting like this. It doesn't take much energy to cook a meal. Do you have any dishes you want to eat? She understood that Zikingai's words had no other meaning, and the other party probably spoke without thinking. And Kyoshi was just retorting because she felt sorry for her, so naturally she had to give her a way out. Although she was used to the 2 kids suddenly bickering, she still hoped that everyone could get along harmoniously. After all, they finally got together, so they had to maintain this warm atmosphere. Besides, she had rested well on the interstellar spaceship, and she didn't feel tired from the long journey at all, so cooking dinner was really just a small matter. After she finished speaking, Chu Jian immediately replied, "Can I eat hot and sour noodles? I used to feel a little greasy when I ate it every day, but now I'm craving it every day." "Oh, A little greasy? Wen Jiu half squinted at him. Then you'd better not eat it. What else can you eat if you're tired of it? I'm exaggerating, my dear sister. He quickly defended himself. How could I be tired of the hot and sour noodles you made? Before Wen Jiu could answer, Stephanie smiled and said, little black cat Ella has to swallow 1,000 needles. I don't know if your stomach can bear it. As she spoke, she gestured with her fingers, as if she was going to force Chu Jian to swallow needles in the next second. Seeing this, Kaioshishi and Zikingayu stopped bickering. The two of them reported the dishes they wanted to eat the most to interrupt Stephanie from continuing to tell horror stories. The main thing is that the other party not only tells, but also really does such a thing. So they temporarily put aside the dispute and work together to stop Stephanie. Sweet and sour pork ribs, golden egg fried rice. Wen Jiu touched his chin and looked at Zhu Wangming. Dr. Zhu, what about you? Is there anything you want to eat? Hearing this, Zhu Wangming, who had remained silent and watched the show, finally spoke. You can't cook according to the names of the dishes we reported, so what's the point of saying it out? Little Wen Jiu, you are really interesting. Hey, have we been fooled by Sister Jiu? Zikingayu immediately made a panic expression. Sister Jiu, I'm really hungry now, don't lie to my feelings. After he finished speaking, Kaioshishi next to him also said, Jiu, I really want to eat sweet and sour pork ribs. But if you are tired and don't want to cook, it's okay. Dr. Zhu has a lot of nutrient solution here. Anyway, they have been drinking nutrient solution for a long time, and drinking it for a few more days is nothing. Hey, Dr. Zhu, why did you say it so directly? Wen Jiu pretended to be angry and glared at Zhu Wangming. But it's not that I don't want to cook dinner, I just want to cook something simple and delicious. The dishes you ordered are time consuming and laborious to make. I don't know what time it will be when I finish them all. She just wanted to tease Kaioshishi and others, but she didn't expect that Zhu Wangming, the old fox, was very smart and saw through her thoughts at a glance. After she finished speaking, Chu Jian couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and asked, then what are you going to cook for us? Are you going to cook a pot of rice to get rid of us? Although he had worked in Wen Jiu's store for a while before, he really had no talent in cooking. Therefore, the only thing he was proficient in was cooking a pot of beautiful rice. That's not the case. Wen Jiu replied with a smile, how about I make you some barbecue? Hearing this, Yu Ruman, who had been listening to their chat, asked curiously, barbecue? Is it putting meat and vegetables on a rack and grilling them? She had been to a planet when she was on a mission before, and the specialty there was barbecue. Now she missed the taste a little. Yes, teacher Yu. Wen Jiu paused for a moment, but your body has not recovered yet, so you can't eat these spicy and greasy foods. After she finished speaking, Zhu Wangming said seriously, man can only rely on nutrient solution to relieve hunger and supplement nutrition now. Let's wait until she is completely healed before talking about eating. He didn't care what kind of food Wen Jiu wanted to cook. Anyway, the food he made was delicious. It's just that Yu Ruman's injury has not been completely recovered, and he dare not let her eat anything other than nutrient solution, even if Wen Jiu cooks it himself. I know. The other party responded with a smile. Then the question is, does this hospital have a kitchen? Hearing this, Zhu Wangming nodded and replied, of course there is. After all, not everyone likes to drink nutrient solution. There are still many medical staff who like to eat. This inevitably reminded Wen Jiu of Xiaozhao and Xiaoli. They had disguised themselves as medical staff before and shamelessly ate at her place several times. So her eyes turned cold. Dr. Zhu, there shouldn't be any more traitors this time, right? She didn't want to meet that kind of traitor who was betraying her again. It was enough to learn a lesson from such a scumbag once. Don't worry, I will take care of Manman's affairs now. Zhu Wangming immediately understood what she meant. Although Xiaoli and Xiaozhao have returned to the headquarters of the 3rd military region. But as long as they appear in the federal court, I will send people to deal with them. Except for the two of them, everyone who participated in it before is dead. When he said this, he pushed the glasses on his nose to cover the flash of murderous intent in his eyes. At first he thought that the traitors were only Zhao Zhao and Zhao Li, but after he calmed down and investigated carefully with Huang Qiumi, he found that the vice president of 3047 hospital was also a spy. Today's second update has also been delivered. Thank you for the support of every little angel. 030. Chapter 703, Eating BBQ 1. No wonder you were often called to meetings during those days. It turns out that the vice president is also a traitor. Wen Jiu said as he processed the Gilubi's meat in his hand. This piece of meat was a rib part with excellent color, and it was also the most suitable pork belly for barbecue. After deciding to have barbecue for dinner, she arranged for Chu Jian and Zikingayu to go shopping together, and asked Stephanie and Kaioshishi to clean up the kitchen. After everything was ready, she took the fox Kiki, who had transformed into a human, and started working in the kitchen. Because Uruman's vocal cords had just recovered, and it was not convenient for her to talk all the time, the rest of the things could only be told to Wen Jiu by Zhu Wangming. Don't say it, that old man deceived Dean Huang and Captain Bei. He couldn't help but sighed when he said this, but this matter is also my fault for being too soft-hearted. In fact, he had suspected Liu Hin a long time ago, partly because the other party came from the Liu family. He didn't believe that the people of the Liu family would turn over a new leaf. After all, some people were rotten from the root. Another reason is that Liu Hin's behavior is somewhat inconsistent. He usually appears to be amiable, but becomes particularly irritable when it comes to solving problems. Smashing things in the office is considered a light punishment. He also beat and scolded his subordinates when he was furious, and more than once. That's why Zhu Wangming suspected Liu Hin, but he never found any evidence. In addition, he helped him occasionally, so he gradually dispelled his suspicion. He never thought that Liu Hin had been working for the 3rd military region, just like those stupid and ignorant people in his family. Dr. Zhu, have you reported the vice president? Zikingayu had just peeled a bunch of garlic. He really didn't understand why Wen Jiu wanted so much garlic. Did he want them to eat as much garlic as they wanted? Hearing this, Zhu Wangming couldn't help but sneer. Report? Why would I report him? Just let the federal headquarters come and arrest him. Zikingayu was puzzled when she heard this. The federal headquarters is strictly arresting people from the 3rd military district. Isn't he sent by the 3rd military district? Although he suffered a lot in the nursery base, he is still a kind and simple person in essence. So his ideas are still based on federal laws, and he will not retaliate like Zhu Wangming or Wen Jiu, using an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Okay, Zikingayu, you peel the garlic first. Kaioshishi was quicker than him. Dr. Zhu is talking to Jiu. We just need to listen quietly. Hearing this, Wen Jiu sprinkled seasoning into the basin and said, by the way, Dr. Zhu, I have a question I have always wanted to ask you. Does the 3rd Military Region Research Institute usually conduct evacuation drills? Why do they destroy documents and items so quickly? She was not idle when she was on Doris Star before. She searched the headquarters and the research institute of the 3rd Military Region several times, but she never found any valuable clues. The headquarters of the 3rd Military Region is fine. There must be a lot of information and items in the research institute, and there are even experimental products. But it is too weird that there is no trace left. She searched several times, except for some insignificant sundries. There were only some scraps of paper. The only valuable scrap of paper was Zhu Wangming's notes, but the problem was that she knew him, so it didn't matter whether there was this medicine note or not. In general, Wen Jiu's trip to the headquarters of the 3rd Military Region was fruitless. To be honest, we usually conduct evacuation drills, Zhu Wangming said without hiding anything this time. After all, genetic experiments are unethical, and the institute was raided once before. In order to prevent someone from leaking information and causing a second raid, we naturally conduct more evacuation drills. After he finished speaking, Chu Jian, who was also sent to peel garlic, sneered, TSK, is this considered a cunning rabbit with 3 burrows? Chu Jian, you really should return to school. The meaning of a cunning rabbit with 3 burrows is. Wen Jiu was speechless after hearing Chu Jian's words. She wanted to explain the meaning of a cunning rabbit with 3 burrows to the other party. As a result, she was only halfway through her words when she stopped, as if she had thought of something. Seeing this, Kiki couldn't help asking, Jiu, why don't you speak? He was still waiting for Wen Jiu to instruct the next step, because he had never done barbecue before. For example, how to handle vegetables and meat. He had to wait for the other party to teach him. So when he found that Wen Jiu was stunned, he was the first to ask, nothing. The other party quickly came back to his senses. I just suddenly remembered something just now, but let's talk about it after dinner. Hearing this, Zhu Wangming couldn't help but fall into deep thought. He was wondering if what Wen Jiu thought of was the same as what he thought. But now everyone was waiting for dinner with great interest, so he thought for a moment and finally chose to shut up. Anyway, these children are back safely, and some things are not in a hurry to say them. Okay, whatever Sister Jiu says, is what it is. I will listen to Sister Jiu. Zikingai was the one with the most attention among all the people present. So he didn't think deeply about it at all, just thinking that Wen Jiu was distracted for a while. Fortunately, the other people didn't mean to continue asking, and everyone tacitly covered up this little episode. After Wen Jiu regained his composure, he taught Kiki how to pickle meat. Although the other party is not very good at learning supernatural powers, he can be said to be a master of cooking. Unlike Zikingai and others, she chewed and broke it apart, and they couldn't learn to cook. After marinating the meat, you can put it on the skewers. She placed a large bowl of pork belly on the table. Brother Hey, come here and I will teach you how to put the meat on the skewers. Chu Jian is not to be mentioned in other aspects. He is really strong and has good physical strength, which makes him the most suitable person to be a skewer worker. However, he did not know what Wen Jiu was thinking, so he still wanted to make fun of him. Hey, didn't you say you would never call me brother? He teased while imitating Wen Jiu's movements. Why did you suddenly change your words, Jiu? Hearing this, Wen Jiu replied with disgust on his face. Is calling you brother Hey considered calling you brother? Well, why not? Chu Jian's peach blossom eyes were particularly seductive when he smiled. However, no one present had the intention to appreciate it. Everyone was busy preparing for the barbecue. After all, beauty cannot be used to fill the stomach, and it is more comfortable to have a delicious meal at the moment. Even when Jiu, who always liked to appreciate beauty, didn't even look at her. Hurry up and skewer this pot of pork belly for me. I'll go figure out how to use that oven. This is the third update today. Thanks again for your support. 030 Babobo. Chapter 704, Eating BBQ 2. Because there were no appliances like grills here, Wen Jiu had to use the oven as a second choice. Just as she was about to put all the ingredients into the baking tray, she saw a brand new light green multifunctional cooking pot behind Zikingai, who was squatting on the ground peeling garlic. Shishi, please bring the cooking pot behind Zikingai to me. Because Chu Jian was still busy threading the meat skewers, and Zikingai was peeling garlic, she could only ask Kyo Shishi, who was free, to help. Okay, I'm waiting for you to call me. The other party ran over with a smile on her face, and then came over with a cooking pot. Wen Jiu originally wanted to use the oven to make barbecue, but after she found this multifunctional cooking pot, she planned to use the baking tray in the pot to make it. Although it is faster to use the oven to make barbecue, the fun of barbecue is to eat while grilling. So after she made a decision, she asked Kyo Shishi to wash the pot, and then started the happy barbecue. Wen Jiu first brushed the barbecue oil he prepared on the baking tray, and then spread circles of onions on it, and slowly roasted them. The strong spicy aroma soon spread in the kitchen, causing the other 5 people to swallow their saliva silently. After finally peeling the garlic, Zikingai couldn't help asking, Jiu, when can we eat this after roasting? Don't worry, it won't take much time. Wen Jiu said as he placed the chicken skewers on the baking tray. The chicken on the chicken skewers were all chicken legs that she had picked, and there were also small pieces of scallions and green onions interspersed in them. While the chicken was heated and the juice flowed out, the green onions gradually turned brown. The tempting and strong onion fragrance continued to emanate, and if you sniffed carefully, you could smell the unique aroma of chicken. Stephanie, who was originally playing with toys, immediately asked after smelling the fragrance, Jiu, can you use your supernatural power to speed up the roasting? She knew nothing about cooking, but that didn't stop her from making suggestions. Hearing this, Wen Jiu turned the chicken skewers over and brushed them with oil while answering, I'm afraid this won't work because the supernatural flames are quite strong and might burn the meat directly. She had also thought about using supernatural flames to speed up the grilling process. After all, it was almost 8 o'clock in the evening and she was quite hungry. However, the temperature of the supernatural flames was not easy to control and they were in this small space. If they were not careful, it would cause a fire. She didn't want the happy event of the reunion to be ruined. Well, okay, Stephanie hugged the rabbit toy in her arms tightly, which was given to her by Cynthia before she left. Fortunately, the chicken skewers cooked quite quickly. The light pink chicken turned white in a short while, and the green onion on the skewers was also roasted to a golden brown. Wen Jiu placed the grilled chicken skewers on a plate beside her, and then she took out a handful of beef skewers and pork belly skewers. If you are hungry, eat first, and leave 2 or 3 skewers for me to fill my stomach. Anyway, they had prepared a lot of skewers this time, so she didn't have to worry about having nothing to eat after grilling. And she believed that, even if Shishi and the others were hungry, they would not snatch her share of food. Hearing this, Jiu, who had been swallowing her saliva, immediately picked up a skewer and took a bite. The tender chicken was full of the fragrance of green onions, and juice would splash out when the meat touched the teeth. If you chew it carefully, you can taste the rich aroma of the chicken and seasoning. The scallion whites that were roasted to a crispy and tender taste were crispy and refreshing, and there was a hint of sweetness in the light spicy fragrance, which just dissolved the greasy feeling brought by the meat. In order to facilitate baking in the baking tray, Wen Jiu made all the skewers shorter, and basically one skewer could be finished in 2 or 3 bites. So the chicken skewers that had just been out of the oven were quickly divided up by the 5 hungry people. Empty, but not completely empty. Everyone was very sensible and left 3 skewers for Wen Jiu, and then continued to look at the baking tray waiting for the new ones to be baked. I put more barbecue sauce on the pork belly skewers. If you are afraid of spicy food, Stephanie, just eat less, or you can pour yourself a glass of milk to relieve the spiciness. Hearing this, Stephanie nodded very obediently. I know Jiu, you are the best to me. Love you. She looked at Shishi while talking, as if she was provoking her with her eyes. Shishi couldn't help but snorted. Nini, do you know why Jiu made pork belly skewers? When she heard this, she acted innocently. I don't know, maybe it's because Jiu wanted to make it for me. No, Shishi imitated her innocent look. It's because I like to eat pork belly, Jiu. Am I right? Hearing this, Wen Jiu, who had just grilled the pork belly skewers, felt helpless. If she said it was right, Stephanie would definitely make a fuss. But if she said it was wrong, Shishi would definitely be angry. She felt like she was facing the famous death multiple choice question. Which one would you save first if your mother and I fell into the water at the same time? No matter how she answered, it seemed to be no use. Why not let everyone fall into the water together? Thinking of this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but sigh. Seeing this, Hukiki said with deep sympathy, oh, why can't it be because I like to eat? This move is called diversion of the war. Seeing that Wen Jiu worked hard to grill the meat, he decided to stand up and bear the pain himself. After he finished speaking, the 2 girls really shifted their attention. Little fox, this planet is much colder than brick. Why don't you use your fur to make a shawl? Stephanie looked over with a smile, as if she was going to skin him alive in the next second. After the other party finished speaking, Shishi immediately said, Nani, don't scare Hukiki like this. Just when he wanted to thank Shishi, the other party suddenly changed her tone and continued, how can Hukiki's fur be enough to make a shawl? I think it can only be used to make a pair of gloves at most. Shishi, are you serious? When Jiu, who was about to take the skewers of pork belly, heard this, he was so scared that he withdrew his hand instantly. He didn't think Shishi's idea was terrible, he just thought that she was led astray by Stephanie. But it doesn't matter. Even so, Shishi is still very cute in his eyes. After hearing this, the other party couldn't help but smile, and then picked up a string of pork belly and handed it over. "I'm just cooperating with Nini. Can you take this seriously?" The fat and lean pork belly was sprinkled with a little cumin. The meat was fragrant, and the roasted fat kept falling, which was particularly tempting. Seeing this, Zikingayu took the skewers with a smile. I know. Let's eat barbecue quickly. Aren't you too hungry?" The first update of the day has been successfully delivered. Please check it out. Little Angels 030. Whisper. I haven't written about food for a long time. I wonder if the little angels miss it. Chapter 705. Eating BBQ 3. Of course she was hungry. Kyoshi was so hungry when she smelled the aroma of meat. She was just used to competing with Stephanie for favor, so she suppressed her hunger and joked with her. Of course, they just regarded competing for Wen Jiu's favor as fun, and they didn't really want to compete to the death. So she picked up a string of pork belly and bit it gently. The sizzling pork belly was roasted to a crispy state. It didn't taste greasy at all, and was particularly fresh and fragrant. The pork belly was shiny and sprinkled with a lot of white sesame seeds. With the barbecue sauce and cumin powder specially prepared by Wen Jiu, the gushing fragrance was simply layered on top of each other. For a while, the kitchen was full of the crispy sound of biting off the pork belly, and a mouth-watering strong meat aroma came towards him. Wen Jiu, how long will it take for your beef skewers to be roasted? Chu Jian was immersed in the joy of eating meat, but the skewers made by Wen Jiu were very small, and he could finish a skewer in 2 or 3 bites. Although the other party grilled a lot of skewers each time, after the hungry people like them shared them, they were all gone in a short time. Hearing this, Wen Jiu brushed the sauce on the beef skewers and replied, "Just grill it for a few more seconds. If you are in a hurry, do it yourself. I'm not your hired griller." Okay, you are the chef and you are the most important. Chu Jian immediately admitted his cowardice and stopped asking, "By the way, I heard that all the members of the Liu family and the White family were arrested." After he finished speaking, the always talkative Zikingayu immediately said, "Yes, and I heard from my brother that they will be tried next week." This news was somewhat unexpected to Wen Jiu, because she didn't know that the White family and the Liu family were arrested. She put the grilled beef skewers on a plate first, and then threw the vegetables that were not easy to grill into the baking tray. Vegetables like potatoes and lotus root slices are grilled more slowly and don't need to be turned over frequently, so she can eat the skewers leisurely and listen to gossip. Have all the people from the White and Liu families been arrested? She took a bite of the chicken skewers. Then she slowly savored the tenderness and juiciness of the chicken, as well as the rich aroma and light sweetness brought by the scallion. The only drawback was that the chicken skewers were a little cold after being left for a while, and there was no heat rising from the oven. Well, Fenian and the people from the 10th military region worked together to catch all the people from the White and Liu families. They can't find a chance to escape this time. Zhu Wangming was no longer as evasive as before. Now he just said whatever he wanted to say. Hearing this, Zikingayu said, while eating beef skewers, "It's like this. My dad also sent people to Uralstar and submitted a lot of evidence to the FBI. He had long been fed up with the White and Liu families. These two families had always relied on their status as local forces to madly suppress their Z family to expand their business advantages. Although he had no intention of taking over the family business, he could learn from Zizio how many evil things the two families had done behind the scenes. TSK, they are reaping the fruits of their own actions," Chu Jian said with a slightly cold look. "Based on the things these two families have done, I'm afraid the entire family will be sentenced to exile to an uninhabited planet." His experience back then was different from that of Wen Jiu and others. He was initially deceived by his teacher to go to the sub-base of planet 3047. After he showed his outstanding abilities, he was sent to planet Brick. The sub-base he was staying at the time was built by the Liu family. Although the White family did not participate in it openly, they have been using the political power to cover it up behind the scenes. Otherwise such a scandal would have been exposed long ago. After saying that, he continued to enjoy the beef skewers, and the coldness in his eyes dissipated in an instant. After Wen Jiu finished the chicken skewers, He also picked up the steaming beef skewers. The dark brown beef was brushed with burnt brown barbecue sauce, and one bite could taste the aroma of meat and spices. It was as if a rich aroma bomb exploded on the tip of the tongue, and the whole person's soul was greatly impacted. When this strong aroma gradually dissipated, you could taste the sweetness of a wisp of colorful pepper mixed in it. I thought it was strange to put colorful peppers on beef skewers before. Zeking guy who ate the beef skewers with a happy face. I didn't expect it to be so delicious together. You are really worthy of being my sister Jiu. You are the god of cooking. Hearing this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but chuckle. It's better to give a huge sum of money than to ask about my well-being, and say less useless rainbow farts. Of course, she was just joking. If Zeking guy really transferred the money, well, she would probably still accept it. Star coins, who doesn't like it? Sister Jiu, you know my brother really wants to take you home. Zeking guy who choked on the meat in his mouth halfway through, so he had to stop talking and coughed violently. However, he didn't notice that Chu Jiayan's eyes turned cold after hearing his words, and the murderer Sora on the other party was aggravated at this moment. He patted his chest while coughing, and Kao Shishi beside him quickly took a glass of water and handed it to him. Fortunately, his discomfort did not last too long. Just when he recovered from it, he saw Chu Jiayan's purple eyes full of murderous intent. Seeing this, his desire to survive instantly surged in his heart. My brother wants to take you home to be a private chef. He said he can give you an annual salary of 1 million star coins. Although Zeking guy who didn't know why Chu Jiayan suddenly became scary, he always had an accurate intuition when he was in danger, so he immediately completed the unfinished words. However, it turned out that his intuition was not wrong. Chu Jiayan immediately regained his peace after listening, as if the man full of hostility just now did not exist. Just as he was thinking about the reason, he suddenly heard Wen Jiu say, by the way, if you are exiled, do you have to stay on the uninhabited planet for the rest of your life? The other party was turning the vegetables on the plate, as if he didn't notice the abnormality just now. Yes, although the planets they are going to are planned to be uninhabited, those uninhabited planets are not truly uninhabited. His greatest strength is that he forgets things when he can't figure them out, and won't dwell on something he can't figure out for too long. So he took over Wen Jiu's words and began to explain the uninhabited planets to him. Those uninhabited planets are just not suitable for human habitation. For example, they lack some of the necessary conditions for human survival, or most of the areas are occupied by interstellar monsters. But some uninhabited planets have abundant mineral resources, so someone needs to go and mine these resources. And the exiled people basically go to such planets, and they have to serve until they die naturally. This is also the main reason why many people would rather go to jail on Uriel than be exiled to an uninhabited planet. This is the second update today. Thank you all for your support and love. 030. Chapter 706 Arrangements after Return 1. Wen Jiu was very satisfied with the ending of the White family and the Liu family. After all, for these people who used to be high and mighty, nothing is more painful than suddenly falling from the clouds. After the 6 people had eaten and drunk enough, they returned to Uruman's ward. Although it was a bit painful, while waiting for the barbecue and vegetables, the joy of eating barbecue was indeed greater than eating home-cooked meals. It was a pity that Uruman's body had not recovered yet, and she could only rely on the delivery of nutrient solution to offset hunger. Teacher Yu, I will definitely find a way to make you recover soon. Wen Jiu wanted to cry just by looking at Uruman's appearance. The other party was wrapped in gauze all over his body, and the burnt black could be vaguely seen. When he wanted to move, he could only ask Zhuangming for help. Thinking about how dazzling and charming Uruman was when she first met her, the more she thought about the past, the sadder she felt. If Uruman had not wanted to take her away, how could she be plotted against by Lu Zhuang and Blue? Jiu, even if I didn't go back to the hospital to save you, I would still be targeted by Blue. After all, in his eyes, I'm a traitor, and he will not let me go. Uruman seemed to see through Wen Jiu's thoughts, and she patiently comforted him with a slightly hoarse voice. Back then, Burning Flame was suppressed by the White family, and there was no way to collect a lot of intelligence, so I sneaked into One Lion King as an undercover. One Nanking, an organization dedicated to working for the 3rd Military Region, was jointly established by the White family and several other forces. Because it was not convenient for those forces to appear in the open, they jointly formed an organization dedicated to doing things, and at the same time they could cover up the fact that they were working for the 3rd Military Region. The Burning Flame organization was originally collecting intelligence under pressure. At the beginning, they could rely on the White family and other forces, and they could not take action against them in order to maintain superficial peace. But after the establishment of the One Nanking organization, the Burning Flame organization was suppressed everywhere, and it was difficult to continue to collect intelligence and evidence. Therefore, Yu Ruman took the initiative to stand up and sneak into One Nanking as an undercover. It's just that she couldn't hide the fact that she was a member of Fenan in the past, so she became a pawn planted by One Nanking in Fenan. Later, she was helping One Nanking to steal information about Fenan, but in fact she was secretly investigating the forces behind One Nanking. Her acting skills and abilities have always been excellent, and she quickly gained the trust of One Nanking's top management, and obtained a lot of One Nanking's confidential information. It was precisely because of this that Blo and Lu Zuoying regarded her as a traitor. Wen Jiu didn't cry when she could only pick up garbage for a living, nor did she cry when she was isolated and helpless on Brickstar. But after she listened to Yu Ruman's past, tears instantly flowed from her already wet eyes. She couldn't imagine how many hardships the other party had gone through before finally gaining the trust of One Nanking's top management. Although Yu Ruman told the story in a light-hearted way, she knew that the other party must have suffered a lot along the way. Zio Jiu, I'm not telling you this to make you cry. Yu Ruman couldn't help but sigh helplessly. Some things are over, and there's no need to mention them again. You can't live in your guilt all the time. Besides, am I not fine now? Old Zhu said I can recover in less than a year. I have endured so many years of hardship. Am I still afraid of these short 2 years? Hearing this, Wen Jiu stopped crying and said, I just feel very sorry for you, Teacher Yu. How can there be so many things to be sorry for, and no one forced me to make such a choice? The other party looked at her with gentle eyes. If you feel guilty, come to the hospital to see me often. Wen Jiu nodded immediately after hearing this, saying that he would come to the hospital every day. But the crying Zikingayu choked and said, Teacher Yu, Sister Jiu still has to go back to the college to attend classes. He had been listening to Yu Ruman telling about the past, and before he knew it, his face was covered with tears. After the words fell, Zhu Wangming on the side immediately coughed twice. I was watching Wen Jiu cooking just now, and I forgot to tell you about that. He didn't want to admit that he was so greedy that he was busy grabbing the skewers and didn't have time to talk about the business. The second semester will end in more than 10 days, so there is no need for you to go back to class. Although it is no problem for you to go back to take the final exam with your current ability. After discussion, the school committee unanimously decided to give you an early holiday. The main reason is that when Wen Jiu and others disappeared, it was close to the start of the school, and they disappeared for almost 5 months. Now they are back, but the second semester is about to end. They should have returned to the college in time to take the final exam, but Huang Qiumei got some news through some channel. In addition, the strength of Wen Jiu, Kairo Shishi, and Zikingayu has improved too much, so it is a bit unfair for them to go back and take the exam together with the ordinary students in the college. So after discussion by the school committee of 3047 college, it was unanimously decided to exempt the 3 of them from the final exam and make an exception to give them an early summer vacation. Hearing this, Zikingayu asked while sobbing, Keek, how will the final exam results be calculated? And this is related to our graduation and further study assessment. He had heard of exemptions from final exams before, but such things usually happened in special circumstances. For example, a student suddenly fell ill and was hospitalized near the end of the semester, or a student's family had an accident near the end of the semester. In short, when the student could not take the exam. In situations like this, they can apply for exemption from the final exam, and they will still get their own final grades, but that grade is usually the average score of the students in the current semester. Kyoshi, and Wen Jiu are all aiming to enter the military academy. If the results of this final exam are too average or low, it will definitely affect their scores in the graduation assessment. Yes, Dr. Zhu, Kyoshi also thought of this. The graduation and further study assessment depends on the usual exams to score. Hearing this, Zhu Wangming could only patiently explain, "You two kids can rest assured about this. Dean Huang made this decision out of consideration for all students. Also, you should know that you are victims of the 3rd Military Region incident, right?" After he finished speaking, Kyoshi and Zikingayu nodded in confusion. Seeing this, he continued, "Then such a big thing happened, but you victims didn't get any compensation. Isn't it unreasonable?" The two children were not stupid people. After hearing his words, they immediately reacted. But before they asked for details, Zhu Wangming directly changed the subject. After all, some things are not certain, and it's not good to say too much. Just stop at the point. Today's 3rd update was also delivered on time. Thank you again for the support of the Little Angels 030. Chapter 707, Past Events 2. By the way, Wen Jiu, Zhu Wangming said while peeling fruit, "Did you bring back the notes I left behind?" His move to change the subject was very awkward, but Wen Jiu continued, "I did bring it back. The other party took out a notebook from his wisdom ring, but those scraps of paper are troublesome to carry, so I copied the contents on the notebook." Hearing this, he just nodded indifferently, and then took the notebook handed over by Wen Jiu. These were his notes on researching drugs to reduce postoperative side effects, but he did not take anything with him when he left the 3rd Military Region, so these notes fell into the hands of other researchers. After he opened the notebook, he saw the clear and powerful handwriting, just like the calligraphy and paintings collected in the Federal Museum. Seeing this, he couldn't help but ask curiously, "Wen Jiu, did you copy this yourself?" "Yes." Wen Jiu picked up a grape and peeled it. "Is there anyone else who can help me copy it?" It was because she disliked the trouble of carrying paper that she asked Lu Yan for a paper notebook for copying. The other party originally wanted to give her an electronic panel, but she didn't want to owe him a favor again, so she didn't accept it. In fact, she could also use the memo function of the light screen panel, but it would be inconvenient for Zhu Wangming to check it. Thinking of this, Wen Jiu asked, after eating a grape, "Dr. Zhu, isn't this note the result of your research? Why do you want me to bring the original manuscript back to you?" Logically speaking, Zhu Wangming should be the one who knows the notes he wrote best, but the other party said before that he didn't remember the content. "Well, you should know." After being taken to Brickstar this time, Zhu Wangming said after a pause, "The 3rd Military District has a unique technology that can invade memory." As soon as he finished speaking, he heard Zikingayu say, "I know. Dr. Zhu, you also lost part of your memory, right?" "That's right." He nodded helplessly. "After all, I was one of the staff of the 3rd Military District Research Institute back then." Hearing this, Wen Jiu suddenly felt speechless. How much does the 3rd Military District like to brainwash people? Anyone who is related to it has had their memory invaded. May I ask who else she knows whose memory is intact? Thinking of this, she couldn't help but look at Yu Rumen and ask, "Teacher Yu, has your memory been interfered with?" "I haven't been invaded or interfered with." The other party's eyes showed a hint of coldness, "but I know such a thing exists." Although she also escaped from the 3rd Military District, she did not arouse suspicion when she left. She left in the name of retiring to find her relatives, and she also forged a lot of evidence for this purpose. Fortunately, she was alone, so she didn't arouse too much suspicion. Yu Rumen was able to reach a middle-level position at a young age because of her outstanding ability, so even if she didn't have access to confidential information, she could still hear some gossip. For example, she heard about the genetic experiment from others, and then she met Zhu Wangming from the institute to investigate. Although she was ambitious and always wanted to be promoted to a high position, it didn't mean that she was a cold-hearted person. Genetic experiments were against human ethics, and she couldn't convince herself to help the evil. Moreover, she learned from Zhu Wangming that the experimental subjects were all underage children. In this way, it was even more difficult for her to accept the darkness of the 3rd Military Region. So after confirming that the genetic experiment was real, she made up her mind to leave the 3rd military region, a terrible place. Ruman was not embarrassed when she left, because she had not yet been exposed to deeper secrets. However, Zhu Wangming was different. He was originally a member of the 3rd Military Region Institute, and he knew a lot of confidential things, so it was very difficult for him to leave. Dr. Zhu, you secretly escaped to planet 3047, right? Wen Jiu couldn't help but ask, then when was your memory invaded and tampered by the 3rd Military District? She remembered that she had heard Zhu Wangming say before that he was taken away by Ruman using special means. If so, when was Zhu Wangming's memory modified? Hearing this, the other party shrugged helplessly. Actually, I didn't remember this at all before. It was only when I went to Brickstar to find you that I vaguely remembered a little bit of the past. Later you sent me a message saying that you found my notes in the research institute. At that time, I felt a little strange. Why did I have no memory of the notes I wrote down myself? When he said this, Kaioshishi immediately reacted and said, so Dr. Zhu, you inferred from these clues that before you left the 3rd military district, your memory was invaded and modified like us, right? Although she was still ignorant in some aspects, she was still very good at logic. Otherwise, she would not have been able to figure out at the first time that Wen Jiu was the person missing from her and Zikangai's memories. Yes, Zhu Wangming looked at her with great appreciation. This is also the reason why I asked Wen Jiu to bring the manuscript back. He learned about Yumao's amnesia from the 8th military region and also learned how to regain his memory. It's just that he didn't think too deeply when he inquired at the beginning, but he didn't know that this unintentional action would make him discover the problem. It seems that we have to help Dr. Zhu regain his memory. Chu Jian fell into deep thought with a cold expression. As far as I know, the lost memory is just hidden, not erased in the true sense. When he encounters serious matters, he is still quite reliable, and he is not as keen on adding fuel to the fire as usual. Hearing this, Stephanie, who was fiddling with the doll again, said, generally speaking, it's the scene that brings back memories. As long as there are people, things, or objects that can trigger Dr. Zhu's memory, it is not difficult to find the hidden memories. But if the real god uses memory confusion, it will be more troublesome to solve. She has been in the nursery base for 3 years, and often comes into contact with Liang Yi, so compared to other people, she has learned much more useful information. True God. Wen Jiu frowned when he heard the word. The true god you are talking about is the god of Sulame? After saying that, Stephanie was stunned for a moment, and then replied with a smile. Yes, but how did you know, Zio Jiu? He Wen Jiu couldn't help but sneered. Not only do I know, I also have her crystal ball. This is the first update of the day. Thank you little angels for your support. 030. Whisper. Sometimes the little author will change the chapter name according to the content of the chapter, but not all places can be changed at the first time, so if the little angel finds that the chapter name is wrong during reading, don't panic. This will not affect your viewing. 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 708, Past Events 3. As she said that, she took out the shadow crystal ball from her wisdom ring. This was the crystal ball that Yi Shanli had given her before he knew himself. When she interrogated him, Yi Shanli, Ruman couldn't help but recall after hearing her words. Oh, I didn't expect that he would end up like this. Hearing this, she asked curiously, Teacher Yu, do you know Commander Yi? I know him, but I'm not familiar with him. The other party answered calmly, I have met him several times before, so I have a deep impression of him. When Yi Shanli entered the 3rd military region, he deliberately concealed his identity as an experimental subject. He has good abilities in all aspects, and is considered to be a relatively capable commander, so he left a deep impression on Ruman. There is no need to recall such an insignificant past, so the topic quickly returned to the crystal ball. The crystal ball that Wen Jiu took out was suspended in the air, and there was a wisp of black mist lingering around it. "Look, this is the crystal ball that Yi Shanli gave me," she pointed casually. "It is said to be made of shadow crystal, and there is a trace of the divine thought of the god Sulame in it." As soon as she finished speaking, the black mist suddenly condensed into the shape of a snake head and attacked her like a beast out of a cage. Seeing this, she quickly constructed a shield on her body and used deep sea blue flames to meet the snake head. The hot flames contained a trace of spiritual power, which was enough to dissolve the cold breath brought by the black mist and the fierce and cold divine thought. The two forces collided suddenly, and the other 6 people were all shocked. The divine thought of the god Sulame injected into this crystal ball was obviously stronger than the one that Wen Jiu had destroyed in the castle before. "Zhao Jiu, hold on." Stephanie reacted very quickly, and in the blink of an eye she added a layer of shield to everyone. Unlike the single person shield constructed by Wen Jiu, this is a group shield unique to water-based abilities, and the ability to resist damage is much higher than that of her own structure. Such an innate advantage is not comparable to other psychics. No wonder most medical soldiers are water psychics. Seeing this, Chu Jian immediately used the gold psychic power. A ray of light instantly covered the two forces that were still fighting, so as to prevent the energy fluctuations from being too strong and accidentally hurting other people in the room. Zikingayu and Kyoshi knew that they could not help much, so they stared at Yuruman intently in case of any emergency. Even Hukiki, who was dozing off on the side, woke up, but his psychic level was really pitifully low, so he could only quickly hide in Zhu Wangming's arms. Fortunately, he was in the form of a fox at the moment, and did not cause too much burden to the other party. After a while, the two forces, one blue and one black, changed from not giving in to each other to the former gradually expanding and beginning to devour the latter. Wen Jiu tried hard to control the flames to attack forward, and sweat kept falling from her forehead. Fortunately, the god of Sulame left only a trace of divine thought, which was limited, even if it was strong. As the dark blue flames kept jumping, the condensed black mist gradually dissipated, and the alternating hot and cold temperatures in the room returned to normal. When the black mist completely dissipated, she breathed a sigh of relief. "I was careless this time." After saying this, Chu Jian, who had been highly focused, relaxed. "It seems that Yi Shanli deliberately gave the crystal ball to you. He must know that the ball contains a trace of that power." He felt that the name of the god of Sulame was too difficult to remember, and he couldn't call him the real god, so he just vaguely passed it over. "Well, he didn't hide this from me. I was too careless and underestimated the enemy." Wen Jiu admitted his mistake with apology and didn't mean to blame others. She had thought that the godhood of the god of Sulame had not been found yet, and she had successfully counter-attacked the opponent with the deep sea blue flame, so she relaxed her vigilance and took out the shadow crystal ball directly. But she didn't expect that the hidden divine consciousness of the god of Sulame this time was stronger than before, and she almost fell because of her carelessness. Fortunately, she didn't rest during this period of time, and she had been training with Lu Yan from morning till night. Although her ability level remained at level 5, her reaction speed was much faster than before. However, she could feel from this power confrontation that the divine consciousness of the god of Sulame was stronger than the last time. It seemed that the other party had recovered a lot of scattered souls. Just when she was lost in thought, Stephanie said with a happy face, "It's okay, I just like this feeling of being caught off guard. So exciting and fun." Her words made Zikingayu speechless. "I think, Jiu, you still can't take it lightly now. There are still remnants in the 3rd military region and the 5th military region. What if they understand what I mean?" Hearing this, Kyoshi next to her agreed. "Yes, Jiu, you must stay vigilant. Some things are really unpredictable." After the two of them finished their concerned words, Yuruman coughed twice and said, "Wen Jiu, is the black smoke just now the incarnation of the true god?" "In theory, it is true." Wen Jiu didn't know how to explain it for a while. She knew that Yuruman had never believed in gods and ghosts, and the other party was a very firm materialist. She wanted to give Yuruman a talisman before, but the other party smiled and refused it after taking a look. Later, she never gave such things again. That was why she went to Liu Sanji to buy a gem bracelet. Thinking of this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but glance at Yuruman's wrist. Layers of gauze were wrapped around her slender wrist, and she didn't look as fair and delicate as before. She didn't know whether the gem bracelet she gave to her fell off during the fight, or was put away by the wisdom ring. Yuruman seemed to have noticed her sight. Don't worry, I put the bracelet in the spare wisdom ring that night, and I will take it out and wear it when my body recovers. That's good. She was instantly much happier. Seeing this, Yuruman continued, I heard about the true god in the 3rd military region before. It is said that it is a god worshipped by the internal high-level officials, who can bless the people of the 3rd military region to be safe and smooth. At that time, she just listened to it as nonsense and didn't take it to heart because she didn't believe in the existence of gods since she was a child. If praying to the gods can lead to a smooth career or a peaceful life, why do we have to work so hard to survive? So she didn't care after hearing it, just thought it was a boring joke. This is the second update of the day. Thank you all for your support again. 030, Whisper, please if you have votes, please vote CAC. Your votes are really important to me, please QWQ. Chapter 709, Past Events 4. Unexpectedly, Wen Jiu and other children said that they were disturbed by the so-called true god, which is why they forgot those important memories. Yuruman may not believe other people, but she cannot help but believe Wen Jiu. So she carefully recalled what she knew. I remember that the people in the 3rd military district are more superstitious as they move up. They even carry pendants given by the so-called true god, which are said to protect them from being in trouble forever. Chu Jian couldn't help but sneer when she heard this. Forever safe. It seems that the gods they believe in have no effect, otherwise how could they be caught by the 1st military district? Hearing this, Wen Jiu, who always felt that he had missed something, reacted instantly. You are right. Her grey blue eyes were filled with joy. Since the god Sulemei gave them the pendant, it is impossible for them not to use the pendant to save their lives. But in the intelligence collected by the 1st military district, let alone the pendant, there is no news about the god Sulemei. Others may not know, but she knows. The god Sulemei can descend with the help of items containing divine thoughts, and will also help believers who pray for his appearance to fulfill a wish. Since the people of the 3rd military district believe in each other so much, it is impossible for them not to think of praying for the true god to descend when they encounter the surprise attack of the 1st military district. But when the clearing plan was in progress, the god Sulemei did not appear from beginning to end, which was too weird. Wen Jiu still had some clues to sort out for a while, and she could only analyze that there was something wrong with this matter for the time being. For example, why did the 3rd military district not summon the god Sulemei for help? And why did the 1st military district fail to interrogate relevant information, etc.? Thousands of thoughts were like a tangled mess, and she only felt that things were getting more complicated. The other 6 people also fell into their own deep thoughts at this moment. For a while, there was only the subtle sound of everyone's breathing in the ward, and the ticking sound of the machine that detected Yuruman's body functions. I seem to have remembered something. Zhu Wangming finally broke the silence with an indifferent look on his face. I originally wanted to leave the 3rd military region under the pretext of going home to get married. Everyone was puzzled by his words, because such a reason was really too outrageous. Seeing this, he could only continue helplessly. It is very difficult for me to completely leave the 3rd military region with my identity, so I thought of using a compromise method to leave first. If he said that he wanted to retire from the 3rd military region, those people would definitely find ways to suppress him and not let him leave. In addition, he had signed a confidentiality agreement with the research institute, which required him to stay in the 3rd military region for 15 years before he could retire. So he thought about it and gave up the method of retiring and leaving, and planned to use the reason of going home to get married to escape from the 3rd military region first. After all, every military region has marriage leave, and he was also at the age of marriage at that time, so this reason was relatively reasonable. For this, I even hired a lover to cooperate with me. Zhu Wangming couldn't help but sighed when he said this. I even customized a lot of wedding supplies on Starnet. To act, you have to act more realistically. He often called his fake lover during his break, and sometimes deliberately ran into his colleagues to prove that he was really in love and was about to get married. Hearing this, Yu Ruman said slowly, "So that's how it is. I believe you're acting, but those people didn't believe it? Although Zhu Wangming was really weak in combat, the other party was really a genius in medicine. Moreover, Zhu Wangming was a gold type mutant. The other party could suppress the wood type mutant with innate advantages. If this is not a genius, then no one can be called a genius." Therefore, many female soldiers in the 3rd military region had some thoughts about Zhu Wangming, but the other party was immersed in the laboratory of the research institute all day long to study medicine, and they could not find any opportunity to approach him. Over time, everyone gradually gave up on this unintentional wood. Unexpectedly, one day, gossip spread in the military region, saying that Zhu Wangming was about to marry his lover. Yu Ruman's team often connected with the research institute, so she learned the news from other researchers. She was a little surprised at that time. Zhu Wangming had said that he would leave with her, so why did he suddenly go home to get married? However, her retirement application had been submitted, and her relationship with Zhu Wangming was just friends. So she was too lazy to ask more about those things. As long as the other party would not betray her, she didn't want to care about anything else. Zhu Wangming was a little amused after hearing this. "You don't think I really have a lover who is going to get married, do you?" He wanted to make a few excuses, but Wen Jiu interrupted him and said, "Dr. Zhu, it's almost 10 o'clock in the evening. Can you get to the point first?" Hearing this, he realized that it was already very late. In order not to disturb Yu Ruman's good rest, he suppressed his words of defense and jumped directly to the key point. "Because the evidence I prepared was very sufficient and true, my application was approved soon. But the day before I was about to leave on the spaceship, a senior from the institute suddenly came to me and said many of them couldn't leave their posts to attend the wedding, so they thought of organizing a party to celebrate before I left. Because the senior had let Zhu Wangming for a period of time before, and his vacation had been approved, he didn't think much about other aspects. Who knew that, after he went there that night, he was always being forced to drink by others. Although he took a potion to avoid drunkenness before going, he still got drunk while drinking." Zhu Wangming paused for a moment when he said this. "People's memories are easily confused or forgotten after being drunk. So I couldn't remember what happened last night when I woke up the next day. At that time, I was in a hurry to catch the interstellar spaceship that was leaving, and for a while I thought it was normal amnesia after being drunk. Now thinking about it carefully, everything is wrong. First of all, his vacation was approved too smoothly, and no one from the top came to ask him about the situation. You know, in the past, if a colleague wanted to leave temporarily, he had to go through layers of interrogation to confirm the truth. Secondly, there was the senior who suddenly came to him for a drink. The other party never liked crowded places, so how could he take the initiative to organize a party to celebrate? And that night, everyone was crazy about pouring wine for him. On the surface, they were congratulating him on his new marriage, but in fact, it seemed as if they had agreed on it long ago. Everything was so wrong, but when he woke up the next day, all his memories were intermittent, and he couldn't recall them seriously. Even if he thought about it again, after escaping to planet 3047, he couldn't remember the details of his departure from the 3rd military region. He only knew that he used special means to escape successfully. This is the 3rd update of the day, please check it out. Little Angels. 030 Muar. Chapter 710 New doubts have emerged. 1. Zhu Wangming had never thought that his memory had been tampered with. The main reason was that his memory loss was different from that of Wen Jiu and others. The latter was missing a large part of their memory, and it was related to important people. As long as they came into contact with people, things in the past, they would easily remember it. In addition, the sudden disappearance of this part of the memory would naturally arouse their suspicion. His memory was more like carefully selected and hidden. For example, he remembered that he was a member of the research institute before, but he didn't remember that he was actually the deputy director of the pharmaceutical department. Until he chatted with Wen Jiu and others just now, he always thought that he was just a marginal person who followed orders to prepare medicines. Now think about it carefully. How could marginal people get access to experimental subjects? It was because Zhu Wangming met Yu Rumen and saw the suffering of the experimental subjects that he made up his mind to leave the third military region with her. Scene after scene suddenly surged in his mind, and the details that he had forgotten and ignored in the past surfaced. Just as he was lost in his memories, Yu Rumen, who was lying on the hospital bed, said, "I just thought about it carefully, and my memory should not have been tampered with. Maybe it's because I didn't come into contact with many confidential contents. After all, the team I was in was mainly responsible for outbound missions, that is, collecting resources on uninhabited planets and killing interstellar monsters. In addition, we helped transport some materials to the research institute." When she learned that Zhu Wangming's memory had also been tampered with, she thought about it carefully for a long time. Fortunately, there were no strange loopholes in her memory. It might be because she didn't have much access to confidential information, so the third military region relaxed its vigilance against her. How scary. Zikingayu sat on the sofa with a pale face. In this case, doesn't it mean that all people who retired from the third military region may have their memories modified by that god? Hearing this, Wen Jiu rarely showed a serious look. Theoretically, this is the case, and the god Sulame can still check after invading the memory. That means he can read our memories? Zhu Wangming couldn't help but frowned. No wonder the plan I carefully planned for so long still failed. Thinking of this, he took a long breath and then continued. Fortunately, Manman left the military region earlier than me. Otherwise, after the god Sulame read my memory, it is very likely that the top leaders of the third military region will know that Teacher Yu chose to retire because of human experiments, and then Teacher Yu will be sent to modify his memory. Before Zhu Wangming finished speaking, he heard Wen Jiu take over the rest of the words. But just when he was about to confirm the other party's analysis, Yu Rumen, with a serious face, got ahead of him. "Wait a minute, you just said human experiments?" A trace of doubt flashed in the other party's eyes. Hearing this, Wen Jiu nodded and replied, "Yes, Teacher Yu, am I wrong?" As if to prove what she said, Zikingayu beside her also clicked on the light screen panel and found the hot search marked with the word explosive on Xingbo. Manxiangsing News. It is now July 19th, Xingyuan 210. The time of the Federation headquarters. 90% of the personnel of the 3rd Military District and the 5th Military District have been arrested. At present, the Federation headquarters and the Federal Court are both fully engaged in interrogation. The two military regions are not only suspected of illegal human experiments, but also of kidnapping innocent children from various planets. Blue Ocean News. Good morning, friends. It is now July 18th, 210 in the Blue Galaxy. All the suspects who had fled to the Blue Galaxy have been arrested. Next, the editor will popularize the laws on human experiments for every one big white goose on the melon front. Long time no see. Do the cute geese miss Big White Goose? Big White Goose has been sick and on leave for a while and has not been able to post on Starblog, so Big White Goose brings you some new melons today. Let the cute geese enjoy it all at once. Rumor has it that the female star surnamed Z snatched the movie that the female star surnamed S had just negotiated, and the female star surnamed S was so angry that she almost went to the hospital. This female star Z has been in the limelight recently and has received many endorsements from big brands. I won't say much about the Big White Goose. Let's continue to eat the next one. This melon comes from unreliable gossip. That is the human experiment melon that everyone wants to eat. I heard that the reason why the 3rd place was swept away was not because the 1st place was strong, but because of the strength of the 1st place. Those who want to see it, please download the special software for eating melons. After downloading, Zikingayu randomly selected some hot search blogs for everyone to see. I saw that all the blogs that mentioned the 3rd and 5th military regions would write about human experiments in the content. Although each account only briefly mentioned it in the content, it can be seen from the comment area under these blogs that most people are discussing from the perspective of human experiments. Under the bridge in front of the door, Manxiangsing is worthy of being the news account launched by the federal headquarters. Every time there is a major event, it is the first to be the first. But can Manxiangsing post some different content? I want to see the details of human experiments. Tea pickers in the mountains. The people above should give up this idea. The federal headquarters has kept the human experiment a secret. My family members who work in the 1st military region can't get any news. You are the flowers and I'm the green leaves. I don't understand. My family members. Isn't human experimentation just clinical trial? I remember that this is in compliance with federal law. Ranking 1 wants to punish ranking 3 and just say it directly. Don't you feel embarrassed to put such a hat on him? Do you eat Ericia marinaceus? I advise the person above to dress properly. Be careful when using your real name on the Star Network. Don't get the 7-day tour package on your real star. Everyone should surf the internet in a civilized manner. That green leaf, don't you understand federal law? Who the hell is kidnapping people to do human experiments? And can human experiments and clinical trials be the same? If you don't understand the law, go back and read more books, okay? You are a flower and I'm a green leaf. Who the hell are you scolding? I'm here today, the green leaf with grass on my head. Borrow the front row. A large reward is offered to the Bukaranka. Congratulations on your wealth. Has anyone seen our fortune sister? How come such a big fortune sister disappeared? Wen Jiu was browsing the comment area carefully, trying to find some useful gossip from it. As a result, she just figured out a little clue when she caught a glimpse of the familiar name. It's embarrassing. She has been missing for so long and hasn't shared. It seems to have driven the fans crazy. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Thank you for the support of the Little Angels 030 here. I wish all the little angels a happy Children's Day. No matter big or small, be happy. As a human, the most important thing is to stay happy. Chapter 711 New doubts have emerged too. However, this was not a good time for Wen Jiu to explain online. She could only pretend that she had not seen the missing person comment of the money-loving person and continued to browse the star blogs posted by other accounts. It was just that she did not mention this matter, and there were always people who did not understand her. For example, Chujayan. A large reward for the Bukaranka. Congratulations on your prosperity. A hint of interest appeared in the other party's charming eyes. TSK, didn't you communicate with your fans when you got the wisdom ring? Ahem. I didn't have time. Wen Jiu coughed a few times with a guilty conscience, trying to avoid this embarrassing topic. She thought that she could not broadcast live on Doris Star, and she was not sure whether she was under surveillance, so she did not contact outsiders such as Lulu and Mingyahan. On the one hand, she was worried that if she contacted, her vest would be exposed, and on the other hand, she did not want to involve innocent people. After all, the General Lu seemed to have a particularly big opinion of her. If the other party arranged hackers to invade her wisdom ring, wouldn't she involve innocent people such as Lulu? She and Uruman and others had an open relationship, so it was normal for them to have contact. But Lulu and Mingyahan were different, so she thought it was better not to contact them. Unexpectedly, her disappearance not only made Lulu and others anxious, but also made the money lovers crazy. Seeing that the topic was about to go off track, Zhu Wangming quickly coughed twice. There's no rush to deal with these things later. Let's get back to the point now. Yes, Dr. Zhu is right. Kyoshi understood the expressions much better than Chujayan. What did teacher you want to ask Jiu just now? Hearing this, Uruman sighed and said, human experiments and gene fusion experiments are not the same thing. Didn't you all find this strange place? But isn't the gene fusion experiment a human experiment? Zikingai hasn't come to her senses yet. Fortunately, the others all reacted in unison, so everyone had the same serious expression on their faces. Only Zikingai, who still didn't understand, was still confused. He could only hug Hukiki, who had turned back into his fox form, and stroked her fur, while thinking about the problem. The room was silent until Wen Jiu spoke. It is against federal law to conduct medical experiments on humans, but human clinical trials are within the scope of federal law. For example, in order to develop new drugs, medical devices, or new prevention and treatment methods, these can be approved by the relevant competent authorities and carried out after review and approval by the federal headquarters. Hearing this, Zikingai felt like he understood a little. Oh, so this concept is not easy to control? Almost, but the gene fusion experiment is a blatant illegal medical experiment. First of all, this experimental plan has not been applied to the federal headquarters. Secondly, 90% of the subjects were kidnapped to the institute for the experiment against their will. And integrating the genes of animals into the human gene sequence is itself a very crazy and shocking thing. Such a thing is naturally not allowed by the federal headquarters. Zhu Wangming analyzed it very calmly, which made Ziqingyu, who was confused, understand. But after he understood, he was quite shocked and said, they actually treat humans as plants for research. Fusion of animal genes into human cells, isn't this the way to study genetically modified vegetables and hybrid fruits? You can also understand it this way. Chu Jiayan's eyes were full of sinisterness. They just want to use this method to create better new humans. He was the unlucky guy who had experienced the gene fusion experiment and naturally knew how crazy the scientists in the institute were. Hearing this, Kyoshi was also shocked. This is simply beyond human ethics. Aren't they afraid of creating uncontrollable products? She almost wanted to say the word monster, but she didn't want to hurt Chu Jiayan and Wen Jiu, so she changed her words. Compared with Ziqingyu, her emotional intelligence is higher. But what does all this have to do with the 4 words human experiment? Stephanie almost fell asleep with the doll in her arms. She doesn't care about many things, even if it involves her own affairs. She doesn't care much most of the time. So she didn't even want to listen to something like the gene fusion experiment that had nothing to do with her. She just wanted to go home and sleep early. Hearing this, Yu Ruman sighed heavily, as Wen Jiu just said, the judgment limit of human experiments is very wide, so some people think that the crimes committed by the 3rd and 5th military regions are not serious. Yes, and don't you think it's strange? A flash of inspiration flashed through Wen Jiu's mind. From the comments section of the Star blog, everyone's attention is on the experiments with real people. Plus, these Star media have blurred the specific content of the experiment, so no one has noticed that this human experiment is actually. She had just said this when Chu Jiayan took over. It's actually a gene fusion experiment that integrates animal genes into humans. This is definitely more infuriating and more eye-catching than a simple human experiment. But most Star media have blurred this point. Not only did they not directly say it was a gene fusion experiment, they also used human experiments with a wider judgment limit instead, as if they were deliberately diverting the attention of the citizens of the Federation. Hearing this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but nodded in agreement. She really didn't think of this at first, and she was even led astray by other people, and kept calling this matter human experiment. Thinking of this, she asked with some doubts, so there are traitors in the 3rd military district and the 5th military district in the federal headquarters? Otherwise, why did these Star media all use the term human experiment to divert the focus, as if they had agreed? This possibility cannot be ruled out. Yu Ruman was very happy that she could think of this direction. You should be more careful during this period of time, so as not to be retaliated by those who have ulterior motives. However, before Wen Jiu could answer, she heard Ziqingyu suddenly realized, Sister Jiu, I understand what you said. Then I have to protect myself too. You didn't break into Doris Star, so don't secretly raise your status. Kyoshi couldn't help but show a look of disgust. Please, I participated in the plan to resist the seedling base after all, so I have to protect myself. Ziqingyu was interrupted by Wen Jiu throwing an apple when she was halfway through her words. The other party first stood up and bowed to Yu Ruman, and then said, Teacher Yu, you must be tired after talking so much today. It will be 11 o'clock soon, so we won't disturb you to rest. This is the second update of today. Thank you all for your support again. 030 Whisper. The concepts of human experiments and clinical trials are all from Baidu. After all, I'm not a professional in medicine, so I can only rely on searching for information and try to describe it as accurately as possible. If there are any mistakes, please correct me. I will accept them humbly. Chapter 712 All the Evil People 1. If Wen Jiu hadn't said anything, everyone would have been so engrossed in the conversation that they wouldn't have noticed that it was almost 11 o'clock. Although there were still many doubts that hadn't been solved, Wen Jiu still took the others away, leaving only Zhu Wangming to watch over Yu Ruman in the ward. Anyway, these doubts couldn't be sorted out for a while, so it would be better for everyone to go back to their homes and have a good night's rest, and then come to the hospital the next day to discuss them slowly. Bye. Come to my house for lunch tomorrow. Wen Jiu first sent Zeke and Guy away at the hospital gate. The driver and bodyguards of the other party's family had been guarding outside, and in the blink of an eye, they started the hovercraft and flew away. Then she and the others walked to the floating bus station. Although Chu Jian had returned to his home, the East Lake Scenic area, where the other party lived, was next to the East Lake Garden, so the group took the night bus to the East Lake District together. The thick night sky was dotted with stars, and the surrounding high-rise buildings were all lit up with dim lights. The floating bus was circling in the air, as if traveling in the Milky Way. Wen Jiu had been busy all day, and now she was feeling sleepy again and again, so she drooped her head and dozed off. Seeing this, Chu Jian, who was sitting next to her, silently moved down. After he adjusted a suitable height, he gently turned Wen Jiu's head over, and then acted as a human cushion for the other person. Because it was already past 11 o'clock, and the base hospital of the Burning Flame organization was far from the city center, there were not many passengers on this floating bus. At this time, in addition to the 4 of them and the fox, there were only 3 passengers sitting in the front. Hey, Nini, have you ever used Feng Hua's lip gloss? I think the packaging of this lip gloss is so beautiful, I want to take advantage of the promotion, to buy 2 to try. Feng Hua's lip gloss is so difficult to use, it's sticky, and stains the cup. For the same price, I recommend you to buy King lip gloss. King Velvet lip gloss and Mirror lip gloss are both super easy to use. Kaioshishi and Stephanie were sitting in the back row. After noticing that Wen Jiu fell asleep, they deliberately lowered their voices to discuss cosmetics. Although they usually get jealous of each other because of Wen Jiu, the two are still very harmonious when they are getting along seriously. It's just that Chu Jian, like Wen Jiu, has been strengthened in hearing, so even if he doesn't want to eavesdrop, the voices of the 2 people in the back row will still come. Really? But King is a new brand that was launched not long ago, and there are no relevant reviews on the Star Network. Zaya, if you don't believe me, I will buy 2 for you right away. How can I recommend a product that is not easy to use to you? Hearing this, Chu Jian, who had been listening, couldn't help but whispered, didn't you say that last time, and then gave Kaioshishi a super difficult to use mask? Hey, little black cat, do you want your tail to be chopped off? Stephanie turned her head immediately with an ambiguous smile on her face. I heard that cats have 9 lives. I wonder if you have them. She didn't know that Chu Jian's animal form was a black cat at first. She only knew that the other party was a plant that had undergone surgery in the research institute. As a result, the big talker King Guy once let it slip and let her know that Chu Jian could turn into a black cat. But before the other party replied, Kaioshishi said aggrievedly, well, Nini didn't deliberately give me a bad mask that time. Besides, the rash on my face will disappear soon. Sister Nini, I won't be angry about this. The more Stephanie heard this, the more she felt something was wrong. She always felt that Kaioshishi suddenly became very strange. However, before she could think about it carefully, Wen Jiu suddenly said, what mask did Stephanie give? What rash? Jiu, why are you awake? Kaioshishi immediately took over the conversation. Actually, it's nothing. Sister Nini gave me a box of masks a few days ago, saying that it can exfoliate and make my skin look brand new. But you also know that my skin is more sensitive. I just used the mask that Sister Nini gave me once, and I got a lot of rashes on my face. Fortunately, you were not at home at the time, otherwise you would definitely be scared. She said all these words in a joking tone, but every word was accusing Stephanie of secretly doing it. Hearing this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but sit up straight and frowned. What do you mean? Did Stephanie deliberately use inferior products for you? She knew that, although Kaioshishi was not obvious on the surface, she still paid great attention to her appearance. But this is also normal. Kaioshishi was born beautiful and naturally cherished her face. No way. Stephanie's eyes widened immediately. I just used a mask with a small amount of silverfish powder on her. That little bit of silverfish powder can only cause allergies and rashes at most. And as long as she doesn't use the mask, the rashes will disappear in a few days, and it won't really harm her life. I used to give her lethal doses of drugs besides. Wen also put unknown powder in the lip balm she gave me. Wen Jiu, you must see clearly that she is not a good person, she suddenly confessed and dragged Shishi into the water. A series of tricks made Wen Jiu confused. I was just thinking that you, Wen Jiu, would be going home soon. She also imitated Shishi's aggrieved tone. It was me who slept in the same bed with Wen Jiu on Brickstar. Stephanie's words were incoherent, but Wen Jiu quickly understood. She thought for a moment before speaking. First of all, you and I sleep in our own rooms. That's not called sleeping in the same bed, that's called living together. Secondly, Shishi slept with me before, because Chujayan wanted to stay in the guest room. What do you mean? Stephanie blinked. Little black cat wants to compete with me for a room. After saying that, she stared at Chujayan with murderous eyes, as if she was going to fight with supernatural powers in the next second. Seeing this, Chujayan felt that he was being shot, even when he was lying down. I haven't lived in Donghu Garden for a long time, thank you. And can you not bite anyone you see? As he said that, a hint of coldness appeared in his eyes, as if he was going to fight. Stop, stop. Can you calm down? Wen Jiu suddenly felt a headache. For some reason, she suddenly felt like an emperor in ancient times, worrying about how to resolve the jealousy of his concubines. Who said that having 3 palaces and 6 courtyards would make one happy? She wanted to throw these people out together. No, 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 these are not her 3 palaces and 6 courtyards. She doesn't have the habit of opening a harem. When the other 3 people calmed down, Wen Jiu's thoughts gradually returned to the right track. Chujayan, you should go home and rest later. You have worked hard today. Seeing that the floating bus was about to arrive at the station, she spoke to Chujayan, who had a cold face. However, the other party just rolled his eyelids lazily, and there was a bit of dissatisfaction in his voice when he responded. Then she turned back to look at Stephanie and Shishi. You two should come home later and explain yourself. It's okay to quarrel with each other, but why did you resort to sabotage? Today's 3rd update has also been delivered on time, please check it out, my lovely little angels. 030. Whisper. The protagonists will go on adventures together in the future, so now we will properly adjust our personalities and tempers to avoid mistakes in the future adventures. And then whisper that no one is perfect. Chapter 713. All the evil people too. Shishi and Stephanie, who were suddenly called out, were as depressed as drowned puppies. However, neither of them said anything to refute, but just followed Wen Jiu back home. Oh, there's something interesting going on. Kiki transformed into a human form as soon as she got home, and then flexibly jumped onto the sofa and sat down. Hearing this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but glare at her. Oh, have you been very obedient at home during this period? Oh. Kiki was startled by her look. Of course I'm very obedient. She laughed as soon as she saw the other party's horrified look. Really? Then explain to me first why Teacher Yu is not surprised at all that you can turn into a fox and a human at the same time. Kiki is now regretting why he got involved. As the saying goes, he won't take the road to heaven, and he will come to hell without invitation. Fortunately, Wen Jiu didn't dwell too much on his affairs, and the other party quickly shifted his gaze to Stephanie. Stephanie, tell me why you gave Shishi silverfish powder. After saying that, Stephanie shrugged nonchalantly. I just don't want you to like her face. I can make you look whatever you like. So Wen Jiu, can you like me a little more? After she finished speaking, she blinked innocently, not thinking that drugging was a wrong thing at all. Wen Jiu took a deep breath speechlessly. Your logic is a bit outrageous. May I ask how you came to the conclusion that I like Shishi's face? Hearing this, Stephanie tapped her head twice with her fingers. My logic is very reasonable. Zhao is so beautiful. Of course you will like her. Wait, do you think I'm friends with Shishi because she is beautiful? Wen Jiu felt that he had figured out a little clue. Stephanie nodded with a smile. So as long as she is not pretty, you will naturally not like her. Wen Jiu wanted to understand this strange logic, but she felt that her brain cells were dying. What did she do to make Stephanie come to this conclusion? However, it turned out that the other party's brain circuit was not something that ordinary people could understand. Just as the two of them were talking, Hukiki suddenly interrupted. I saw that you two were getting along very harmoniously before, and I thought you had turned hostility into friendship. Although Stephanie's brain circuit was not something that ordinary people could understand, she could still understand what other people said. But before she could speak, she heard Kaioshishi smile and say, that's just a false appearance on the surface. Nini doesn't regard us as friends. When the other party said this, there was no sadness or anger, and there was only a faint smile on her delicate face like a doll. This was a bit unexpected for her. Shishi. Wen Jiu felt a headache when she saw such a scene. She originally wanted to take this opportunity to persuade the two girls. After all, Kaioshishi and Stephanie were both friends to her. Although the former knew her earlier and had a closer relationship, the latter had nothing wrong, except that her brain was not normal. These two people had quarreled because of her, so it was necessary for her to mediate this conflict. She also carefully understood on the way back that the quarrel between the two was purely a competition between each other. Stephanie gave Kaioshishi silverfish powder that would cause allergies, but Kaioshishi also found an opportunity to give Stephanie an allergy experience in return. In short, no one suffered a loss. It was completely a mutual fight. But she had to find a way to solve the problem. Otherwise, how could she live in the future? Thinking of this, Wen Jiu looked at Stephanie and said, I now understand almost everything about you two. First of all, it is definitely wrong for you to give Shishi silverfish powder, Nini. Most people have allergic reactions to silverfish powder, and this allergic reaction is a rash at the mildest, and it is very likely to affect life safety at the worst. Once you fail to control the grams of silverfish powder, do you know how serious the consequences will be? I admit that I'm closer to Shishi than others, but this is because we have known each other for a long time and have experienced life and death together. I also admit that I'm indeed a face control, but this does not mean that I will definitely like someone who looks good. Do you think I like Nathan, Ivan, and Loi? Wen Jiu couldn't help sighing when she said this. She just hoped that Stephanie could listen and stop doing some weird things. However, after listening to her words, the other party only showed a blank expression. Jiu, what did you say? You actually think Nathan, Ivan, and Loi are good looking? The last time she had such a headache was when she was running for a living. I'm not angry when others are angry, but no one can replace me when I get sick. Who would be happy if I were to die of anger? Besides, it would be exhausting and stressful. 1. She repeated to herself countless times not to be angry, and took countless deep breaths before she smiled and said, so I just said so many things, and you only heard the last sentence, right? No, that's not it. Stephanie seemed not to notice her anger. I also heard you talk about the severity of the allergic reaction, and asked me not to use silverfish powder anymore. Hearing this, her mood eased a little. It seems that you did listen to me a little. Facts proved that she was too happy too early. Stephanie then said confidently, don't worry, Jiu. I will control the grams of silverfish powder. It won't cause such a serious reaction. When Jiu suddenly felt like she was talking to a cow. Is it so difficult to enlighten others? Okay, since you don't understand what I said, I'll say something else. She felt like she was about to break the jar and throw you into the medicine jar as a medicine guide. Exclamation point 031. Chapter 714 All the Evil People 3. When Kaioshishi saw Wen Jiu's cold face, she couldn't help but feel a little guilty. Just when she thought she would be scolded like Stephanie, he took out a few round potatoes from the cupboard. Shishi, can you help me peel these potatoes and cut them into pieces? Wen Jiu's tone was as plain as usual, and even the tone of his speech was no different from before. In his crisp and gentle voice, there was a bit of sweetness that was hard to capture. The habitual slightly rising ending tone always aroused her heartstrings called joy. although everyone always praised her for her beautiful appearance and nice voice, as if she was the product of the god's favor. But in her eyes, Wen Jiu, who had not yet grown up, was the perfect product. The other party was like a dusty pearl, and sooner or later it would bloom with brilliant light. Just when Kyoshi was confused, Wen Jiu spoke again. "Shishi, can you please peel the potatoes?" Hearing this, she came back to her senses and agreed. The other party put the potatoes on the table, turned around and went to the freezer to look for them. Seeing this, she couldn't help but ask in confusion, Jiu, are you going to make a midnight snack? Well, I see that you and Nini are not full, and my stomach is empty, so I might as well make a midnight snack and eat it before going to bed. Wen Jiu said, while looking through the freezer, with no intention of talking about what happened just now. Although Kyoshi didn't want to take the initiative to bring it up from the bottom of her heart, she felt that if some things were not made clear now, it would be quite terrible if they were accumulated for a long time. Instead of waiting until that time, it would be better to die now. So she plucked up the courage to speak. "Sorry Jiu, I actually let Stephanie do it to me on purpose. This time I was too reckless and too much. I will never do this again in the future." Hearing this, Wen Jiu, who had just taken out a piece of Gilu beast meat, was stunned. What the hell? Even if there were thousands of words in her heart, she just wanted to say a fuck. She just thought that Kyoshi was allergic to Stephanie's drug, and there was nothing wrong with the other party's counterattack in the same way. Therefore, after she came to the kitchen, she did not talk to Kyoshi about what happened just now, but chose to use midnight snacks to adjust her mood. Unexpectedly, Kyoshi suddenly dropped a bomb, which directly broke her mood that had just been adjusted. "I'm just worried that you will have a better relationship with Nini." The other party seemed to be mentally prepared and told the whole thing. After Wen Jiu gave Stephanie and Hukiki the right to live, one person and one fox followed Kyoshi and began to live together. Chujian and Zikingai would visit from time to time, but they mainly added ingredients to Wen Jiu's kitchen, so that the other party would get a surprise when they entered the kitchen when they return home. In short, these four people are still acceptable on the surface, and it is unknown what friction there is behind the scenes. Although Stephanie and Kyoshi have not reached the level of close friends, the two of them live under the same roof and get along harmoniously. The two of them were busy with their own things every day and did not interfere with each other. Occasionally, they would exchange beauty tips when they were free. In general, it was an ordinary cohabitation relationship. Even if there was friction, the two did not take the initiative to talk about it, and they still tried to maintain the superficial friendship and harmony. However, this layer of harmony did not last long before it was broken, because when Jiu was about to return home, there was already a little friction between Kyoshi and Stephanie, so she revealed one thing to the other party after she learned the news. That is, Wen Jiu will live in the master bedroom after returning home, which means that the other party will sleep in the same bed with Kyoshi. Stephanie couldn't hold back her emotions after learning the news, and Kyoshi also inadvertently revealed her intimacy with Wen Jiu. Although she wanted to get rid of Kyoshi neatly, she thought of Wen Jiu's good relationship with the other party. She was worried that Wen Jiu would feel sad because of this, so she kindly spared Kyoshi's life and chose to drive the other party away in another gentle way. So she decisively got some silverfish powder, mixed it with a certain brand of smearable facial mask, and gave it to Kyoshi as a gift. She thought that she would be allergic after using the mask, and if the allergic reaction was serious, she would definitely have to be hospitalized, and then there would be no need to sleep in the same bed with Wen Jiu. In addition, the allergic reaction would cause rashes on the body, and Kyoshi's beautiful face would not be saved. It was simply a good thing to have the best of both worlds. However, Stephanie never thought that the other party was waiting for this box of problematic masks. "I just thought that using a little bit would not cause too serious allergic reactions, and you know that she will be very angry about me giving her drugs, and in this case, she will definitely be kicked out of the house by you." The more Kyoshi explained, the more guilty she felt. She didn't even dare to look up at Wen Jiu. So Stephanie was encouraged by you to give me drugs, and you knew that the mask had been tampered with, but you still used it just to find an opportunity to play misery in front of me later, right? The other party's words were quite straightforward, making her even more embarrassed to answer. Of course, in addition to shame, she also felt anxious at this moment. She was very worried that Wen Jiu would feel disgusted by this, and she didn't want to lose this best friend at all. Just as she was thinking about this, the other party sighed and said, "How should I describe this? White cut black? Ah. What do you mean by white cut black?" Kyoshi was a little puzzled after hearing this word. Hearing this, Wen Jiu explained, "While cutting the meat of the Gilu beast, it looks innocent and harmless and cute on the surface, but in fact, it is complicated and decisive and ruthless." She learned this word when she was reading novels in the past, and it is particularly suitable to describe Kyoshi, who pretended to be a little white rabbit. But how could she believe that the other party was a simple little white rabbit? Which little white rabbit dared to leave home alone at such a young age and killed monsters crazily in the Dianai forest without blinking an eye? Well, that's it. Kyoshi returned to her shy look, completely without the calmness when she narrated before. Seeing this, Wen Jiu was helpless. "I was wondering why Nini suddenly drugged you, but I didn't expect that it was you, a big bad wolf pretending to be a little white rabbit, who instigated it." She said this with a bit of teasing, and she didn't mean to blame Kyoshi. Hearing this, the other party stuck out her tongue shyly. "I didn't do it either. If you don't like it, I won't do it again in the future." Alas, no one is perfect. Wen Jiu put the chopped meat into the bowl and seasoned it. "I'm very happy that you can tell me the whole story, but I hope you won't do this again in the future. This is the second update of today, please check it out. Little Angels 030. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 715, All the Evil People 4. At this point, Wen Jiu thought for a moment and added a few more words. "I don't mean to ask you to correct this character. I just don't want you and Nini to have any more conflicts. We live under the same roof now, and we may become classmates in the future. There is still a long way to go. There is no need to make such a fuss. So I hope that, if you have any conflicts, try to resolve them openly, and don't frame each other in my name like this time. I know that you are a very smart girl, but your intelligence should not be used in this kind of place." She spoke earnestly for a long time, and her voice was a little hoarse at the end. At this moment, she suddenly realized how difficult it was for her master. It was so difficult for her to resolve the conflicts between two friends, but her master had to maintain the friendship and harmony of the entire school. It can be seen how much effort he put in this aspect on weekdays. Sure enough, communication between people is also a profound knowledge. Wen Jiu always thought that she was very good at observing people's words and expressions, but the facts proved that her attainments in this regard were not enough. Fortunately, Kyoshi was more reasonable than Stephanie, and she quickly reflected on it and made a promise. "I'm sorry, Jiu. I didn't expect this to cause you so much trouble. I will talk to Stephanie later. Even if she and I can't be close friends, I won't do anything to her again." Hearing this, Wen Jiu didn't care about it anymore, and just taught Kyoshi how to steam potatoes. In fact, Kyoshi's nature is still very kind. She just has a little bit of black-bellied attributes. Fortunately, she won't use this in other aspects. But it's normal to think about it. If she was really a silly and sweet little rabbit, she would have been harmed by her inhuman parents. So it's a good thing that Kyoshi is a little more scheming and complicated in this situation. When Jiu saw that the other party had returned to a gentle appearance, and she couldn't help but think of some small things in her heart. She remembered that when they first arrived at the nursery base, Kyoshi was the first to adjust her emotions. After adapting to the new environment, the other party set a new goal for Zikingayu, which was to enter the high quality seedlings and strive to leave the base. It can be seen that Kyoshi has never been a weak little white flower, that needs to be cared for, but she inadvertently regarded the other party as a little white rabbit. Thinking about it this way, it seems that none of her friends are simple. Chu Jian, who is unruly and really ruthless, and Stephanie, a little madman who does not play by the rules. The vixen who can charm and transform into mimicry, and Kao Shishi, who is good at acting. There is really no simple one. It can be said that all of them are evil people. Oh, no, she seems to have left the arrogant young master behind. It's just that she feels complicated when she thinks of Ziking Gaiu. The other party was obviously quite awesome at the beginning, but how did he suddenly become an arrogant group bully? Compared with the others, Ziking Gaiu, who seems to be arrogant and poisonous, but is actually very easy to bully, is just like a bunch of little white rabbits mixed with a little white rabbit, which is very out of place. Just as when Jiu was sighing for this eccentric young master, he saw Kao Shishi coming over with a steamer in her arms. Jiu, I've steamed the potatoes. What are you going to do next? Hearing this, she spoke. First, use the fifth tool on the shelf to mash all these potato cubes into mashed potatoes. Thank you for your hard work. As soon as she finished speaking, a colorful figure floated in. Jiu, are you still angry with me? Stephanie pouted and said aggrievedly, I will treat Shishi and the others as my friends in the future. Your friends are my friends. Seeing this, when Jiu could only patiently explain, I'm no longer angry with you. I just want to come to the kitchen to make a midnight snack. She paused for a moment and glanced at Ukiki who was following behind her. I want to make egg burgers and fried hash browns. Do you two want to eat together? What are egg burgers and fried hash browns? Stephanie immediately put on a smiling face. No matter what Jiu makes, I will eat it. She looked at the other party's silly and happy look, and she couldn't get angry for a while. In fact, Stephanie has tried to change a lot. Just take this time to drug Kao Shishi. If it were in the past, the other party would definitely directly release a lethal dose, instead of accurately controlling the dosage to just cause allergies. No. With Stephanie's crazy personality, the other party prefers simple and rough methods, and poisoning is still too euphemistic. Thinking about Stephanie's temper of stabbing people when she didn't agree with something before, she is much better now. When Jiu inexplicably felt a sense of relief, I don't know how to explain it for the moment. Anyway, it's delicious. Just wait and eat it. She was actually quite sleepy at the moment. If she hadn't thought about Kao Shishi and Stephanie not being full, she would have gone back to her room to sleep. So she was completely unable to muster the energy to explain what egg burgers and hash browns were. Hearing this, Stephanie couldn't help swallowing her saliva. Okay, I'll go out first. After that, she pulled Hukiki out of the kitchen, but when she walked to the door, she suddenly turned around and looked at Wen Jiu and said, Jiu love you, boo bobo. This roar scared Wen Jiu so much that he almost lost his grip on the spatula. She quickly regained her composure and replied, you and Hukiki go back to the living room and stay there. I'll call you to get it when it's ready. Hearing this, Stephanie left contentedly, with the 4 words I'm very happy written all over her face. But she was happy, but Hukiki was not happy. Oh, I thought there was going to be a good show. He thought Stephanie was going to the kitchen to quarrel, but she didn't know that the other party apologized to Wen Jiu as soon as she entered. Although having a midnight snack was a happy thing, he was still dissatisfied with Kao Shishi taking his place. If he was standing in the neutral position and watching the show before, he now belongs to Stephanie's camp. However, he had just chosen his camp when the battalion commander switched sides. Alas, the life of a fox is so difficult. Little fox, how about I put on a good show for you? Stephanie took out a bottle of hair dye spray from somewhere. Don't you find it boring to have pure white fur all the time? Hearing this, Hukiki's heart instantly went on alarm bells. Oh, not boring. Not boring at all. I just like pure white. After that, he turned back into a fox and jumped onto the balcony, fearing that Stephanie would chase him and force him to dye his fur. It's not easy to run away in human form, so it's better to be a fox. The man and the fox confronted each other for more than 20 minutes, but they finally waited until Wen Jiu announced that dinner was ready. Today's third update has also been delivered. Thank you all for your support once again. 030 love you. Whisper. Now is a transitional stage. I will write everyone's personality more distinctly to facilitate the subsequent plot development. Chapter 716 Egg Burger and Hash Browns 1. Oh, is this thing bigger than my face? The egg burger you mentioned? Kiki couldn't stand it when he smelled the fragrance. He immediately transformed into a human form and rushed into the kitchen. Egg burgers and fried potato cakes were new things he had never eaten before, so he asked questions after taking the plate of food. Hearing this, Wen Jiu inexplicably felt a little guilty. Oh, yes. This is an egg burger. You and Nini take it out first, and Shishi and I will be here soon. She chose to make egg burgers on a whim and never thought that there were no suitable kitchen utensils at home. She didn't buy too many kitchen utensils before. After all, there were only a few types that would be used in daily life, so she only bought the necessary ones when she was shopping. Without a round frying pan for making egg burgers, she could only take out a frying pan, thinking about trying it out first to see if it could be used. After she fiddled with it, she barely succeeded, but the finished product was enlarged several times, which could be said to be an extra large egg burger. Oh, then I'll go out first. Fortunately, Kiki did not raise any questions. The other party held an egg burger in each hand and left the kitchen quickly with a happy face. Seeing this, Wen Jiu breathed a sigh of relief and continued to make ketchup. Jiu, is this hash brown fried? Kyoshishi's voice suddenly rang in her ears. While she turned down the flame of the ketchup, she looked at the sizzling oil pan next to her. The oval hash browns rolled in the yellow oil, and bubbles kept coming out. The aroma of potatoes and the rich aroma of oil mixed together and drifted out, and just smelling it made people swallow their saliva. It's fried. After giving an affirmative answer, she directed Kyoshishi to pick up the hash browns. The golden hash browns were shining with a layer of oil, as if tempting them to feast on them. But Wen Jiu was already used to such food. She only glanced at it lightly. After confirming that the potato cakes were fried successfully, she asked Kyoshishi to take the plate and sit down at the dining table. Then she poured out the cooked ketchup. The thick and fragrant ketchup was the best match for the potato cakes. It tasted sour and sweet, and had a special flavor. Little Jiu, come on. Stephanie was fixing her smudged eyeliner. We are waiting for you to come and eat. Hearing this, Wen Jiu put the ketchup away first, and then sat down next to her. She looked back at the clock. It was already 1 in the morning, but Stephanie was still putting on makeup. Why did she care so much about her appearance? Thinking about it, she asked curiously, Nini, do you like to put on makeup and dress up? Yes, Stephanie had already put on her eyeliner and turned back and blinked at her, and I think it is very important for me to keep a perfect makeup. It's tiring just to live every day, so I have to find some hobbies to support myself. Besides, I feel good when I dress up beautifully. As Stephanie's makeup and dressing up before was influenced by Cynthia, then now she really loves the pleasure of dressing up. Hearing this, Kyoshishi couldn't help but smile and agree. Yes, people still have to have some hobbies. Are you interested in chasing stars with me? Wen Jiu thought of Zhuang Rudy when he heard this. She was not interested in being a fanatical fan of the other party. No, as long as you and Nini feel happy. She quickly retracted her curious eyes. While the three of them were happily discussing their hobbies, Kiki, who was drooling with greed, couldn't help herself. Did you forget to eat supper? He rarely called himself a great immortal in front of Wen Jiu. On the one hand, it was because Wen Jiu had become his master, and it was disrespectful to call himself that in front of his master. On the other hand, he was afraid of being beaten. He was also afraid that he would have to kneel on melon seed shells after being beaten. The feeling of whether it hurt or not was really uncomfortable. Hearing this, Wen Jiu came back to his senses. She picked up a piece of potato cake and said, eat if you want to, you don't have to wait for us. Kiki muttered aggrievedly, why didn't you say this earlier? You made me wait for a long time. After he finished speaking, he wanted to eat an egg burger, but Wen Jiu suddenly looked at him and asked, what did you just say? I said I was so hungry. His face flushed when he said this because he was the worst at lying. Seeing that he was about to bury his face in the plate, Wen Jiu smiled and pretended to be confused to cover it up. For midnight snacks, of course, you have to eat and drink at the same time. Unfortunately, Wen Jiu's family only had drinks bought from the supermarket. Because she couldn't get used to the strange sweet taste, she made a pot of black tea to make do with it. The fragrance rising from the teacup was extremely fresh, and it felt refreshing when you sniffed it gently. But at this moment, she was the only one who could still taste the tea calmly. The two people and the fox sitting at the table were feasting. Kyoshi first picked up an oval potato cake. After all, these potato cakes were made by her own hands, so of course she had to taste it first. She blew the hot air on the surface, and then took a bite. The golden potato cake was wrapped in a layer of extremely crispy crust. After the teeth broke through the crispy crust, you could taste the softness inside. Wen Jiu specially mixed mashed potatoes and shredded potatoes to make hash browns, so the inner layer has a soft texture and a special grainy feel. The fried hash browns are crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, and they are full of oil fragrance. They are paired with special ketchup to give them a unique flavor. Kyoshi got the double satisfaction of taste and taste just by eating the hash browns with ketchup. For a moment, she felt relaxed and completely forgot her previous anxiety. The same was true for Stephanie on the side, who was tasting the egg burger with a knife and fork. Because the egg burger on the plate was too big, Wen Jiu could only give everyone a set of knives and forks. So Stephanie held the knife in one hand and the fork in the other, with an ambiguous sense of pleasure on her face. It was as if she was not eating the egg burger now, but dismembering it. She cut the whole egg burger into several small pieces before slowly tasting it. Under the thin layer of breading is a fresh and delicious fried egg. The rich aroma of oil and the light aroma of eggs blend together, making people salivate just by smelling it. The hand-chopped meat filling is stained under the fried egg, and it tastes both the fresh aroma of meat and the flavor of eggs. Several aromas bloomed on her tongue at the same time, and the smile on her face became more and more intense as she ate. The rich gravy and the yellow egg liquid mixed into her mouth, and Stephanie squinted her eyes with satisfaction while tasting it. After staying on the starship at dawn for so long, she missed the delicious food made by Wen Jiu so much. Fortunately, she is finally reunited with each other now, and she will probably be able to eat it every day in the future. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out. Little Angels 030. Whisper. I wish you all a happy Dragon Boat Festival. Be happy little angels. Chapter 717 Egg Burger and Hash Browns 2. However, Wen Jiu didn't know what Stephanie was thinking. After eating 2 potato pancakes, she went back to the master bedroom to wash up. Anyway, everyone knew that if they didn't cook, they had to wash the dishes and clean up. There was no need for her to stay outside until they finished eating. Since there was nothing to worry about, she went back to her room to wash up and then deal with the mess she had left behind. Wen Jiu lay on the bed and clicked on the light screen panel. As soon as she opened it, a bunch of messages popped up. Bakalulu, where on earth have you been? Sister Fake. You've been gone for 5 months. Why haven't you appeared yet? Crying expression. Bakalulu, Sister Fake, I beg you. You are really my sister. Please come back soon. Crazy expression. Bakalulu, Mom. I just saw you online. Are you coming back? I'm going crazy. If you don't come back, all my bonus will be deducted. Tears like rain expression. Bakalulu, I call you Mom. Do you dare to agree? Don't just go online and not reply to my messages. Crazy slapping the table expression. When Jiu read all the messages sent by Lulu one by one, and the more she read, the more she didn't know how to reply to the other party. She could see that Lulu was about to collapse. The other party knew her real age, but he even called her mom, which showed that this girl was really close to collapse. Just as she was thinking carefully about the best reply, Lulu's avatar, which had been grey, suddenly flickered. Seeing this, she inexplicably felt a little guilty. It was almost 2 in the morning, and the other party could still urgently go online to catch her. Is this the perseverance of a social animal? It really made her admire it. Mom, yours is really my real mom. You are finally online. Wen Jiu had just chosen the option to answer the call when she heard Lulu screaming out mom in a heartbreaking voice. Hearing this, she couldn't help but twitch her mouth. Although money fans often joked about calling her mom in the live broadcast room, it was the first time she heard someone call her like this. This is too weird. Before she could recover, Lulu started howling again. Mom? Fortune mom? Why don't you talk? Don't do this. I'm so scared. Mom. Don't scare me, okay? My bonus will be deducted. If this goes on, I will really be fired. Lulu cried and cried, which made Wen Jiu even more at a loss. As she remained silent for a longer time, the other party's crying became louder and louder. So she could only force herself to get out of the panic of being called mom. Sister Lulu, don't cry. I really had something to do some time ago. Woo 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 you. What can happen to you? Lulu was crying breathlessly at this moment. Take care of a sick child. This kind of talk is enough to deceive fans. But I know your age. Sister Lulu, listen to my explanation. I didn't stop broadcasting on purpose. When Jiu's mind was working quickly, she wanted to find a suitable reason. She couldn't just say that she was kidnapped, although she was indeed kidnapped by the 3rd Military Region, but it was outrageous to say such a thing. In addition, the federal headquarters kept all the information of the victims confidential. With such a premise, it was even more difficult for her to find a reason. However, before she could think of a good reason, Lulu cried and shouted again. Wow, 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 wow. Do you want to switch to another platform? The other party cried like a child whose candy was taken away. I can help you get more benefits. Sister Farke, can you not switch to another platform? Just tell me what benefits you want, and I will talk to the manager to help you get them as much as possible. When the other party heard that she had been silent without giving a reason, he began to brainstorm and said everything. Hearing this, she could only briefly explain that she did not want to change jobs and that she did not start broadcasting because something big happened in her real life. She was unable to get away and could not go online to issue a suspension notice, so she suddenly disappeared for 5 months. Sister Lulu, you've been really good to me. I don't have any intention of changing jobs. It's just that there are some reasons that I can't tell you. I can only apologize to you here. As for your bonus, that is about to be deducted, you tell me the amount, and I will compensate you out of my own pocket. How about that? Then I will write a statement from the fans. If you have a better idea, I can also adopt it. Wen Jiu thought this was the best way she could come up with, but Lulu refused. After sobbing for a while, the other party choked and said, no, 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 actually I still have a little bonus. I just hope you can show up soon. And as long as you can start broadcasting as soon as possible, I can earn back my bonus. The reason why Lulu was so anxious to find Wen Jiu was, on the one hand, because she didn't have any bagankers under her. If the other party was gone, she would lose the bonus salary, which would be equivalent to unemployment. On the other hand, because the popularity of Gongzi Farke was too high recently, the department heads, managers and other leaders above her were all urging her to contact the other party as soon as possible. I haven't been on the air for 5 months, but my popularity has increased instead of decreased. Wen Jiu was stunned when she heard the news. She thought that she would lose a lot of fans after stopping the air for such a long time, so she prepared herself mentally. But Lulu suddenly told her that her popularity was on par with Leo Zhu. What happened during her absence? It can't be that Gongzi Farke suddenly appeared to help her start the air, right? Fortunately, Lulu's emotions finally calmed down, and she briefly told her about the recent events. Before you stopped broadcasting, you had a few fights with Leo Zhu. Leo Zhu is the #1 food star on Arbika platform. His sudden failure naturally attracted a lot of attention. Later, Wu Yao Food won the lawsuit and successfully clarified the plagiarism of snowflakes. As a result, the reputation of Leo Zhu and Crown Food plummeted, so many of Leo Zhu's fans switched to you. Plus, the sales of snowflakes are getting hotter and hotter. Wu Yao Food has been promoting you, and the big star Zuan Rudy is also helping you to increase your popularity, so your popularity is now skyrocketing like a rocket. Lulu wanted to cry again as she spoke. She originally thought that after Wen Jiu's fans skyrocketed, she would take this opportunity to hold a few more live broadcasts to consolidate and also promote the banner of the godly chef. If Wu Yao Food is willing to cooperate, it can also launch another food to attract goodwill. When the word of mouth of Gongzi Fa spreads, she will definitely get a lot of bonuses. She never thought that the other party would disappear for 5 months. She waited day and night and lost more than 10 pounds. This is the second update of today. Thank you little angels for your support! 030. Chapter 718, Long Late Night Reflection 1. Wen Jiu listened carefully to Lulu's beautiful plan while replying to Ming Yehan, who was still awake. Fortunately, she had the ability to do 2 or even 3 things at once, otherwise she really wouldn't be able to sleep tonight. She didn't know why there were so many things she needed to deal with. She felt like a busy bee. Mom, why don't you talk again? Lulu's hoarse voice suddenly sounded. Hearing this, she could only type while replying, I'm listening carefully. Your plan is good, but I think it's better to change some details. She was not interested in the fate of Leo Zhu and Crown Food. To put it bluntly, they were defeated and not worth her much attention, so her attention was on Lulu's original plan. Okay, then tell me how you want to change it? The other party's tone suddenly became excited. I have opened my work software. Let's write a new plan tonight, and I will talk to the leader tomorrow morning. In fact, Lulu's plan was not something she came up with alone, but was discussed by the senior management of Bika Company after a meeting. The main reason is that other people are not sure about Gongzi Fake's temperament. They are worried that it will have an impact if they change people rashly to contact the other party, so they arranged for Lulu to find someone to test the waters first. Because Gongzi Fake is so popular now, if Leo Zhu used to be the #1 food brother of Bika Live, then the other party can now be called the #1 food sister of Bika. It's just that Bika Company has lost the former #1 brother Leo Zhu, so they must seize the sudden popularity of Gongzi Fake and absolutely cannot let the other party be poached by other live broadcast platforms. This is also the reason why Lulu asked Wen Jiu if he wanted to change jobs. For example, you ask me to issue a statement tomorrow morning and directly start a live broadcast in the evening to connect with fans. I think this is too hasty and too obvious. It is easy for others to suspect that I'm doing marketing. Wen Jiu doesn't think marketing is a bad thing. The main reason is that her current popularity is illusory. Although Lulu said that Leo Zhu has a lot of fans following her, and there are also fans diverted from Zhuang Rudi, but these people are just passers-by fans. If she really did what Lulu proposed, it would seem as if she had been missing for so long for hype, and now that she saw the popularity was high, she hurried back to live broadcast to earn star coins. In this way, most of those passers-by fans would definitely run away, and then the popularity she had finally gained would be gone again. Although she could increase her fans by her strength without relying on hype marketing, she naturally had to seize the opportunity to ascend now. It's just that some things are not urgent. She thought that she could first issue a return announcement, explain why she stopped broadcasting during this period, and then announce that she would resume live broadcasting in a few days. As for how many days it would take to return, it depends on when it is convenient for her to start broadcasting. After she finished her idea, Lulu quickly agreed. Yes. Sister Fake, I didn't think of this, if you didn't say it. The other party was recording while talking, and soon a new problem came up. Sister Fake, has Wu Yao Food arranged someone to contact you? They sent someone to Arbika to ask before, saying that they hope to reach a long-term cooperation with you. But our platform is mainly for live broadcasting, and you didn't give us the product rights, so I declined them first, and said I would give you a reply after I asked you. Lulu's character is still very good. She will tell Wen Jiu everything she can say, and she will not hide it like other responsible persons. She still hopes that Wen Jiu can cooperate with Wu Yao Food for a long time, because from the incident of Snowflake Crisps, Wu Yao Food is still very reliable. At least it is not like Crown Food, whose reputation has plummeted. After losing the lawsuit, it began to blame Leo Zhu. It is said that Leo Zhu provided them with the recipe of ice and snow crisps. If there is any plagiarism, it must be Leo Zhu and the company behind it. Although there is nothing wrong with Crown Food's statement, such a blame-shifting behavior is really disgusting. Let's look at Wuao Food. When they were accused of plagiarism, they didn't blame Gong Zifa. Instead, they quietly collected evidence and found out the people who were behind the scenes. After winning the lawsuit, they helped Gong Zifa to gain favor. You know, such conscientious companies are rare. Wen Jiu couldn't help but smile after listening to Lulu's words. Wuao Food. I will have a good chat with their person in charge. As she said that, she sent a new message to Ming Yihan. Jiu Yao Chen Wangun. Mr. Ming, did you send someone to find my person in charge at Bika? Wuao Food. Mr. Ming, well, you disappeared overnight, so I naturally had to send someone to ask. After all, you promised me to cooperate with me on peanut nougat, but you haven't sent the formula and samples until now. Jiu Yao Chen Wangu. And Mr. Ming, you also know that I disappeared overnight. How could I have the time to send the samples and formula away? Wen Jiu hadn't even started to adjust the recipe of peanut nougat before she was kidnapped by the people of the 3rd Military Region and taken to Brickstar. If she could send things there, why didn't she send a message to ask others to rescue her? Oh, she had this opportunity, but she and Stephanie spent all their points on rescuing Kaioshishi and Zikingayu. Before they could earn more points to apply for the use of the wisdom ring, Lu Yan and the people from the Imperial Capital Military Academy came to visit. Later, it can only be said that plans can never keep up with changes. Ming, president of Wuao Food, I know you are missing. So when can you send the samples and formulas? Ming Yihan didn't ask questions like Lulu did, asking her why she disappeared during this period. The other party just put on a business-like appearance. This was a relief for her. She really didn't want to be asked again. Sometimes lying is also a difficult thing. Jiu Yao Chuan Wangun. Can I send it in 2 days? I just came back. President Ming, give me some time to relax. Dogs clasp their hands together please. Please, Mr. Ming from Wuao Food. Okay, good night. Wen Jiu really didn't expect that after she disappeared for a while, there would be so many things that she needed to deal with one by one. Just as she reached a consensus with Ming Yihan, she heard Lulu's voice. Sister Fake, I made some changes to the previous plan and sent it to you just now. See if there is anything else that needs to be changed. Hearing this, Wen Jiu wanted to sigh that the other party was too dedicated. Sister Lulu, it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning here. Can I take a look at your plan after I wake up? Fortunately, Lulu was not so dedicated that she had to stay up late. After saying goodnight, the other party quickly hung up the phone. This is the 3rd update of the day. It has been delivered on time. Thank you all for your support again. 030. Chapter 719. Long late nights thinking 2. The world was finally quiet when Jiu fell on the bed and stared at the ceiling. She felt like she was being drained. Just when she wanted to close her eyes and go to sleep, she remembered that Kaioshishi hadn't returned to the room yet. So she rolled over and got out of bed and ran to the door without even wearing slippers. Squeak. After she pushed open the door, she saw that the bright living room was now dark, and Stephanie and Kaioshishi were nowhere to be seen. Only a snow-white little fox was lying on the sofa, and his slightly rising and falling breathing revealed how soundly he slept. Seeing this, Wen Jiu tiptoed to the door of the guest room. She didn't rush to push the door in, but instead clicked on the light curtain panel. She vaguely remembered that when she was messaging Ming Yihan, a message from Kaioshishi popped up at the top of the panel. Shishi, study hard. Jiu, I see you're still busy now, so I won't bother you. Anyway, Nina's guest bedroom is quite big. I'll go over and sleep with her tonight. Good night. Have an early rest. Sure enough, she should have read the message before making a decision. Since Kaioshishi and Stephanie were both fine, Wen Jiu didn't want to knock on the door to disturb them, so she walked back to the master bedroom slowly. Perhaps because she drank black tea during supper, she tossed and turned in bed for a long time, but couldn't fall asleep. She was so energetic that she seemed to be able to kill a cow with one punch. 379 dumplings, 380 dumplings, 381 dumplings. Wen Jiu closed her eyes and counted the dumplings for a long time, but she didn't feel sleepy at all, but she felt a little hungry. She didn't know if she would feel sleepy if she continued to count like this, but she knew that she would definitely be more awake when hungry. So Wen Jiu simply opened her eyes and began to stare at the ceiling and think about life. Unknowingly, she has been in this new world for more than a year, but she didn't feel a sense of belonging until now. After all, everyone has feelings, and she can't forget the past at the first time. Now she has adapted to the pattern of this world, and she rarely feels that kind of drifting and helpless. Whether it is earning star coins or improving combat capabilities, she has also found her own way. She had tried all kinds of new things she had never touched before, such as mental power, supernatural powers, and mechas, in just over a year. In fact, there was no big difference from the previous life of cultivation, except that there were some strange high-tech products, so it was not difficult to adapt. The only thing that Wen Jiu had difficulty adapting to before was the loneliness of being alone. Although she was also an orphan without a father or a mother in modern times, she had a master who doted on her, and her brothers and sisters who always accompanied her. Therefore, when she first came to this world, she would think of her previous life every night. But as time went by, she met Uruman, who was both a teacher and a friend, and like a family member, and became friends with Kyoshishi, Zikingayu, Chujayan and others. More and more people accompanied her, and the feeling of loneliness gradually disappeared, and she rarely thought about the past. Even though Wen Jiu had started a new life here, it did not mean that she did not want to go back to the past. It was not that she had no feelings for Uman and others, but that she felt that this world was too complicated. In the past, she just studied hard and practiced hard. In her spare time, she could grow vegetables, fruits and herbs, play with various animals in the back mountain, and sneak down the mountain with her senior brothers and sisters to go shopping. In short, she had no worries. She didn't have to worry about anything. She just had to be a carefree junior sister. Unlike now, she has to learn everything to survive. In addition to making money, she also has to improve her combat ability. She is busy like a little bee every day. In addition to these, thanks to the blessing of the original owner, she also has to study whether she is a person. It seems that all the sufferings she didn't suffer in the past 20 years have accumulated in this new world. Thinking of this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but sigh heavily. Life is really unpredictable, and the big intestines are wrapped in small intestines. Then she turned over in bed and planned to continue to close her eyes and brew sleep, but she was aroused by the dagger on the bedside table. So she wrapped herself in the quilt and moved towards the bedside table, and then suddenly reached out and took the beautiful dagger. Wen Jiu had never expected that Luyan could even refine weapons. What kind of decathlon athlete is this? The scabbard was shining in the dark night, as if it was reflected by the gems inlaid on it. She suddenly felt that it was most appropriate to name this dagger Starlight. Looking at the gems arranged in an orderly manner on the scabbard, she felt that a flash of inspiration suddenly came to her mind. If the diamonds and gems inlaid by Luyan on the blade can be connected to form Scorpio, then can these gems inlaid on the scabbard also be connected to form a constellation? Wen Jiu thought of this, and lifted the quilt, and at the same time, opened her light screen panel. There was no way. She really didn't know much about astronomy, and it could be said that this was her blind spot in knowledge. Therefore, she could only use the star network to search and compare to see which constellation could correspond to the order of arrangement of the gems. 4, 5, 6 Wen Jiu first counted the number of gems on the scabbard, and then looked for constellations according to the number of gems. But as she was looking, she found something wrong. Her modern zodiac sign is Scorpio, but why is the original owner's zodiac sign also Scorpio? As far as she knows, she didn't have an exact date of birth in modern times, so the master set the day she was picked up as her birthday. The problem is that the original owner is also an abandoned orphan, and the other party has not even registered in the database, so naturally there is no exact date of birth. Wen Jiu thought and recalled how the original owner's birthday came about. Thinking about it, she remembered that her household registration in this world was handled by Uruman. The other party seemed to have told her at the time that, because she didn't know her date of birth, she just picked a day at random. So she quickly opened her Star Network account, and then she found that the month and day of birth registered on it were exactly the same as her birthday in modern times. This is too coincidental. Wen Jiu couldn't help but sigh silently in her heart. She thought that the same name was a coincidence before, but she didn't expect that a birthday picked by Yu Ruman at random could become exactly the same. The months and days are the same, the only difference is the year. These countless strange coincidences made her suddenly feel that her fate with the original owner was too deep. This is the first update of today, please check it out. Little Angels 030 Whisper, I wish you all a happy Dragon Boat Festival 030 exclamation point. Chapter 720 Once upon a time there was a mountain one. These amazing coincidences made Wen Jiu lose all sleepiness. She didn't know why she always felt so strange. In addition, the original owner's memory was not fully recovered, and she always felt that there was still a trace of haze in her mind. The original owner's secrets were one after another. Even if she wanted to live a peaceful and ordinary life, she couldn't completely separate from the other party's past. Wen Jiu didn't even have the energy to find the constellation when she thought of this. Just when she wanted to turn off the light screen panel and be quiet, a pop-up window suddenly popped up to request a voice call. Are you still asleep? The familiar cold voice sounded in her mind like a soothing spring flowing, calming her whole mood. Well, I can't sleep. She put the starlight back on the bedside table. My mind is very messy. Hearing this, Lu Yan on the other end couldn't help frowning and asked, what's wrong? He thought Wen Jiu would fall asleep soon after running around all day. But he didn't expect that he saw the other party's avatar still lit up as soon as he opened the light screen panel. It's nothing serious. Wen Jiu lay on the bed and swung her legs. Alas, I don't know how to say it. She couldn't just tell Lu Yan that she was transported to this world by soul. The other party might think she was daydreaming and suggest that she go to the hospital to check her brain. Although everything is possible in the interstellar age, soul transport is still a bit advanced. After her voice fell, there was only the crisp sound of fingers tapping on the table and the barely audible breathing on the other end of the phone. It was obvious that Lu Yan was not good at comforting people at all. Forget it, let's not talk about this. Wen Jiu took the initiative to skip this topic. How long will it take you to reach the Imperial Capital Star? Hearing this, he searched for how to comfort others and answered, it is expected to take 12 days. Is that so? Then remember to tell me when you arrive, so that I can prepare a gift for you in advance. The other party seemed to be rolling back and forth on the bed, and his voice was always intermittent, accompanied by the hissing sound of friction with the quilt. Hearing this, he couldn't help but relax his brows, and a strange sweet feeling rose in his heart. When Wen Jiu received the gift from him, he did say that he would give him a gift in return. But he didn't expect that the other party had been thinking about it all the time. It seems that he was right to take the initiative to send a gift. As expected, learning never ends. Although Mingai is not as good as him in many aspects, the other party's ability to guess people's hearts is still worth learning from. Mingai, who was still staying up late to grind parts, sneezed. Strange, did I turn the temperature too low? However, he didn't know that someone like him, who was called a little bully, was actually a master with high emotional intelligence and how to coax people in Lu Yan's eyes. Just when he opened the panel and raised the temperature, he suddenly received a message from Lu Yan. Yan, how do you comfort people? Mingai was stunned when he saw this message. He almost thought he was dreaming because he was too sleepy until the other party flashed a new message. Yan, please help me check, does this method work? He saw Lu Yan sent a link, so he clicked it out of curiosity. The next second, he fell into confusion, surprise, shock, regret and other emotions. Teach you 1001 tricks to chase a girl. What if you don't know how to reply when chatting with a girl? The editor is here to teach you a few universal replies, guaranteed to attract the attention of your beloved girl. If a girl says that she is upset recently, but you don't know how to reply, you might as well try to say to her, girl, don't make trouble. The editor guarantees that the girl will be emotional and then reply to you countless messages in an instant. Although Mengayu has no experience in love, he still knows a little bit about how to get along well with others. The link Lu Yan sent was simply, "Future star of Interstellar, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, brother Yan, the link you sent is simply a love guide, future star of Interstellar." I think the reply taught by the editor is very practical. By the way, which girl are you attracted to? Can I gossip about it? I promise not to tell anyone, really. However, Mengayu waited and waited, but no new reply came, because his brother Yan was confidently saying to the girl, "Girl, stop making trouble." His voice was low and warm, as if the 10,000 years of black ice turned into spring water, with a hint of imperceptible coldness in the clearness. But such a perfect voice could not withstand the earthy lines. Wen Jiu sat cross-legged on the bed with a frown on her face. She just asked Lu Yan what he liked just now, but the other party suddenly said this sentence after half a minute of silence. To be honest, she was confused. Why did Lu Yan's style suddenly become that of an earthy president? She couldn't help but take a breath, really didn't know how to answer. Just when she was in a dilemma, Lu Yan's voice sounded in her mind again. "Girl, I'm 1.88 meters tall and have abdominal muscles." The moment Wen Jiu heard this, he said without thinking, "I beg you, be normal. She and Lu Yan had a good chat just now. Why did he suddenly become greasy? What a good little handsome boy, you must not grow crooked." Even though Lu Yan has never been able to get along with others, he also understood at this moment that Wen Jiu didn't like this. He really felt a little embarrassed. "I'm sorry." Hearing this, Wen Jiu breathed a sigh of relief. "You know what? I almost thought you were like Chu Jian, and specifically learned the way the male protagonist of the novel spoke." She had previously found a bunch of old domineering CEO romance novels for Chu Jian to pass the time, so the other party went from being very disgusted to gradually falling in love with, and then began to imitate. During that time, every time she saw Chu Jian, the other party would say, "Woman, you are playing with fire. What the hell is she doing with fire? She has to cook every day. Can she not turn on the fire? Even if it is an induction cooker, it has to be plugged in, okay?" After she confiscated Chu Jian's novel, the other party's style of painting gradually became normal. "Chu Jian?" Lu Yan's tone suddenly took on a hint of coldness. "Is it the number one? He has the information of all the seedlings and plants." Chu Jian, as the number one seedling, has also undergone fusion surgery. In addition, the other party has challenged him once on Brickstar. Of course, he will not easily forget such a key person. Hearing this, Wen Jiu couldn't help but ask in confusion, "Did the conversation say that you have our information?" Today's second update has also been successfully delivered. Thank you for the support of every little angel. 030. Whisper, I don't mean to say that the old-fashioned domineering president romance novels are bad. The little author will perform a slide on his knees first. Open bracket closed bracket exclamation mark. Everyone has their own preferences. The little author will also read this kind of novels from time to time. I emphasize again that I don't mean to be disgusted. Cac. Chapter 721. Once upon a time there was a mountain too. Although she had been on Doris for more than 2 months, there was a lot of information collected by the first and second military regions that she didn't know or understand. She could go to Lu Yan to ask, but she didn't want to rely on him too much. Some things were better for her to solve by herself. In addition, Lu Yan was originally from the Imperial Capital Military Academy in the 1st Military Region, and it was not convenient for the other party to take care of her in all matters. So Wen Jiu had always remained sober and rational, and did not use her friendship with Lu Yan to force the other party to provide intelligence information. It was just that Lu Yan suddenly mentioned it, so she just asked casually. It didn't matter if the other party didn't want to answer. She wouldn't be angry about such things. Well, the 8th Military Region sent to Brickstar integrated the seedling information and sent it to the federal headquarters, and then the headquarters integrated the plant information we collected and made a complete version. Lu Yan briefly described the source of the information. Anyway, there was nothing to hide about this matter. After all, the missing children who were found were basically sent to the Imperial Capital Star, and the federal headquarters helped them contact their families based on this complete information. So even if he didn't say it, he felt that Wen Jiu could guess it. The other party seemed to have gotten up and drank several sips of water. At this moment, only the sound of gulping could be heard. After a while, he heard the familiar and pleasant voice. I see. Do you like sweet or not sweet? Wen Jiu didn't mean to continue the previous topic because she didn't want to use Lu Yan to get too much information. She wanted to be friends with the other party, not to use him as a tool. So she simply changed the topic and continued to ask Lu Yan about his preferences. The other party was silent for a moment before answering. I like both. This made her feel a little uncomfortable. She thought that if Lu Yan said he liked sweet food, she would make a macaron for him. If Lu Yan said he liked not sweet food, then she would make some Chinese snacks. As a result, the other party was a person who served water, so she could only make one of everything. Just when Wen Jiu was silently complaining, she suddenly heard Lu Yan add a sentence. I like everything you make. Although this sentence was very short, it really touched her heart. Okay, you said that. She immediately began to think about what other snacks she could make. You have to eat as much as I make for you. If you don't finish it, I will. I won't make snacks for you anymore. She was just joking. As for snacks, she could make them anytime, as long as she was in a good mood. However, these snacks were just gifts in return. She had to think carefully about the real gift in return. After all, the wisdom ring Lu Yan gave her was worth a lot of star coins, not to mention the dagger that he made himself. Adding the two together, it would be too stingy for her to just give snacks. It's okay to be stingy to strangers, and it's okay to be stingy to yourself. But she, Wen Jiu, would never be stingy to her friends. Of course, there are exceptions to some special circumstances. For example, Chu Jian, who was hostile to her at the beginning, should return the star coins to her. After hearing Wen Jiu's deliberately emphasized tone, Lu Yan couldn't help but bend the corners of his mouth into a beautiful arc. Okay, I'll eat them all. He only felt so relaxed and happy when he was with the other person. But strangely, since he and Wen Jiu met in reality, he has not dreamed of each other again. Thinking of this, he was entangled for a moment and then asked nervously, Zhao Jiu, have you ever had any strange dreams? After saying this, he really felt a little nervous, but he didn't know why he was like this. Let me think about it. It seems that there is. Wen Jiu rolled on the bed and thought seriously. In fact, I haven't had many dreams recently, but I have had a few times before. It's just that I can't remember the content of the dream clearly. I only vaguely remember that I had a dream, as if there was a layer of thick fog covering my memory. Do you think what I said is strange? Hearing this, Lu Yan was relieved at first, but soon he felt a sense of regret. It seems that only he can remember what happened in the dream. He was very glad that he did not ask Wen Jiu directly, but chose a more euphemistic way to speak. But at the same time, he had an inexplicable regret. It turned out that Wen Jiu didn't remember the dream at all. No wonder the other party's reaction would be particularly big when they met in reality. Wait, Yan, are you asleep? Seeing that he didn't answer for a long time, Wen Jiu thought that he fell asleep suddenly. So he quickly answered, no, I just suddenly thought of something. Huh? Is it the kind of thing you can tell me? It just so happens that I can't sleep at all now. After the other party finished speaking, he got back into the quilt. The rustling sound came to him, and he seemed to be able to imagine the picture. For some reason, the smile on his face became more intense, and even his eyes contained a trace of warmth that was enough to dispel the wind and snow. After thinking about it, he spoke, do you want to hear a bedtime story? Wen Jiu was a little sleepy, but after hearing this sentence, she became energetic again. What did Lu Yan mean by asking her if she wanted to hear a bedtime story? Could it be that the other party had guessed that she was Sun Badao himself? No, she thought she was hiding it well. Besides, she hadn't been to the Star Network world to set up a stall during this period of time, so Lu Yan wouldn't have discovered it all of a sudden, right? But why did the other party suddenly ask this question? Could it be that he wanted to test her in this way? Just when Wen Jiu was in a brainstorm, Lu Yan's low voice sounded again. Don't you want to listen? The other party spoke with a hesitant tone, as if he was trying to figure out her thoughts. Hearing this, she immediately covered herself with the quilt. I want to think a lot. I want to think too much. Isn't it just to test her? Then she is so good at acting. She would never let Lu Yan find out that she is Sun Badao before she takes the initiative to reveal her vest. At this time, she didn't know that her vest had long been gone. It was just after she answered that Lu Yan fell into silence. The main reason was that Wen Jiu's tone was too heroic, as if he was declaring his determination to die. Ayan, why is there no sound again? Is the signal on your side not good? Just when Lu Yan was trying to figure out Wen Jiu's thoughts, the other party suddenly urged. He could only search his mind quickly, trying to find the most suitable bedtime story. After thinking about it and carefully selecting, he decided to tell the most hypnotic story, which was also his favorite story. So Wen Jiu, who had just closed her eyes, opened them again, because she heard the story she least wanted to hear. Once upon a time, there was a mountain. In the mountain there was a temple. In the temple there was an old monk and a young monk. This is the third update today. Thank you all for your support again. 030 Mua. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 722 Jiu and his friends 1. Thanks to the enthusiastic Lu Yan's bedtime story, although Wen Jiu was successfully hypnotized and fell asleep, she had a nightmare that the other party forced her to knock the wooden fish all night. When she struggled to wake up from the nightmare, it was already past 1 in the afternoon. The sun cast a faint light spot through the curtains, and occasionally a warm breeze blew the gauze curtains. Wen Jiu just sat up and stretched, and there was a knock on the door. Come in. Her voice still had a bit of laziness after waking up, like a cat that was disturbed during its nap, making a vague and sticky sound of dissatisfaction. Because she didn't have the habit of locking the door when she slept at home, the group of people outside the door came in the next second. Someone invited us to have lunch at noon, but he slept in the quilt until 1 o'clock. Who it was, I won't say. Those who understand will understand. Chu Jian whistled jokingly, with a deep smile in his peach blossom eyes. Hearing this, Wen Jiu rubbed his eyes and replied, it's not too late at all. If you are hungry, you can ask Hukiki to make lunch for you. Oh, you don't need to remind me. Chu Jian leaned against the doorframe with his arms folded. We saw that you didn't wake up, so we asked Hukiki to make lunch. He and Zikingai arrived at Donghu Garden on time, but they didn't know that Wen Jiu, the owner, had been sleeping soundly. So, prompted by hunger, they asked Hukiki to make lunch. Fortunately, the other party's cooking skills were pretty good, and the food they made was quite delicious. But it's not good enough to say that she is on par with Wen Jiu, because Hukiki's cooking skills are still a little lacking. Then don't make a fuss when you are full. Wen Jiu first turned over and got out of bed. Then she glanced at the others. I just called me to get up. There is no need for you all to squeeze in, right? In the spacious master bedroom, in addition to her and Chu Jian, there were 3 people and a fox squeezed in. Hearing this, Zikingai was the first to defend herself. Sister Jiu, we are concerned about you. We are afraid that you will fall asleep forever. I don't know if he has been with Chu Jian for too long and forgot to bring his brain with him when he was talking. So when Jiu walked to the bathroom and said, Zikingai, touch your head and see if it feels a little itchy. Ah, my head doesn't itch. Zikingai was confused by her words and reached out to touch her short dark brown hair. Seeing this, she said with a fake smile, oh, it doesn't itch. It seems that your brain hasn't started to grow yet. After she finished speaking, she closed the bathroom door, leaving Zikingai standing outside with a confused look on her face. The next second, Chu Jian suddenly started laughing. Little Kingai, your sister Jiu means that you have no brain. He would not miss any opportunity to add fuel to the fire. Although he didn't like listening to these children quarreling before, as they spent more and more time together, he found that watching children bickering was quite interesting. So he started to set fires whenever he had nothing to do. Seeing these kids making a lot of noise, his mood would become cheerful. It's a pity that no one could understand his bad taste. Just when Chujayan was sighing inwardly, he saw the white and fat little fox lightly jump onto the dressing table and lie down. The other party said, while wagging its tail, it seems that Jiu has also discovered that Zio Kingayu has no brains. Hearing this, he couldn't help but smile slightly. It seems that he is not the only one who likes to fan the flames. But there are people who love to fan the flames, and there are people who like to put out the fire. Why does Zio Kingayu have no brains? Kyoshi was unhappy when she heard this. Although I don't want to use a level of supernatural powers to make things, he has at least reached the 4th level of supernatural powers by himself. Apart from Wen Jiu, the one who has the best relationship with her is Zio Kingayu, and she certainly can't let the other party be bullied by others. Oh, can this immortal be compared with Zio Kingayu? Who Kiki refuted without showing any weakness. This immortal has only embarked on the formal path of cultivation not long ago, and it is not easy to reach the level today. Hearing this, she just snorted lightly. You are already an immortal, but not as good as us, then we are not great immortals. Her words directly blocked to Kiki, and she was so angry that she ran out of the bedroom. Seeing this, Chujayan couldn't help but half closed his eyes and looked at Kyoshi seriously. To be honest, he used to position this little girl as a pretty but weak little white rabbit. It's just that the other party is kind and strong, and she is not as hypocritical as some beautiful girls. In general, she is a person worth making friends with. But from what happened just now, he felt that he was a little wrong. Kyoshi's eloquence is not inferior to Wen Jiu at all, and she can also accurately find the pain points when it comes to attacking people. It's just that the former hides well most of the time and won't show his edge all the time like the latter. Thinking of this, he suddenly remembered that when he was still on Brickstar, he and Kyoshi and others spent 2 months on the starship. He vaguely remembered that the reason why Kyoshi and Zio Kingayu became high quality seedlings so quickly was because this little girl trained desperately and stimulated her potential crazily, which inspired the latter to work hard together. TSK, it seems that there are more interesting people than he thought. Shishi. Just now, Zio Kingayu hesitated for a long time and couldn't say thank you. Although he tried hard to change a lot of his temper, his tsundere attribute is really deep in his bones. Before he could say anything, he saw Wen Jiu walking out of the bathroom. The other party was stunned for a moment and then started a range attack. What are you guys still doing in the bedroom? You're not going to watch me get dressed, are you? Please, I just didn't get up on time to make lunch. I don't want you to stay here and watch me, right? Hearing this, he instantly wanted to pull Kyoshi away, fearing that he would be beaten more severely if he fell behind. But the next second, he heard Wen Jiu say, Chujayan, if you try to sow discord in front of your own people again, I will. Definitely. What? Chujayan didn't think Wen Jiu could say anything to scare him. He just stood there with his hands in his pockets with a lazy smile, and his evil face, which was already extremely charming, was enough to capture the hearts of thousands of girls. However, the other party was unmoved and even showed a hint of disgust. Kyoshi and Zio Kingayu standing aside were curious. They really wanted to know what Wen Jiu would use to scare Chujayan. Only Stephanie kept smiling throughout the whole process, as if she was watching a play that had nothing to do with her. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out, my lovely little angels. 030. Chapter 723 Jiu and his friends too. When Jiu was rummaging through his clothes while casually saying, I will definitely spread the news that you endured humiliation as a pet cat so that you can feel the love of Sister Chen, Aunt Li, Uncle Zhang, and Grandpa NIU. As soon as he finished speaking, the whole room fell silent. Chujayan's smile faded a lot after hearing this sentence, and everyone could see that he was very unhappy now. The dark time when he was raised as a pet cat was a dark history that he never wanted to recall again. Although he met this group of strange companions after he became a pet cat. But when he thought about how he almost changed from a man to a woman, he felt that this dark history was unbearable to look back on. Wen Jiu. If you dare to tell others, I will. He gritted his teeth and responded to Wen Jiu, but he thought for a long time and couldn't think of how to threaten the other party. What do you mean? Do you still need me to help you recall that you used to call the master when you were free? The other party turned around with interest, as if he was appreciating his reaction. So he didn't wait for Wen Jiu to finish his words, and just like Ukiki before, he floated out of the bedroom like a breeze. He didn't want to embarrass himself in front of a few little brats, even though he had lost so much face. He really didn't understand why he was older than Wen Jiu and his ability level was higher. But he couldn't beat him, and he couldn't get the upper hand in a quarrel. He was speechless. If he had known, he wouldn't have entered the master bedroom. Seeing Chujian leave, Zikingayu followed him. It's not that his friendship with Chujian was so deep, but he felt that if he didn't leave, Wen Jiu would launch a verbal attack. He thought that he was ignorant of the world before, but the result was that he was beaten by the other party and burst into tears. He didn't want to experience that kind of embarrassment again. So he walked out tactfully and closed the door at the end. Seeing this, Wen Jiu continued to look for clothes. She rarely buys clothes on her own initiative. She used to wear the school uniform of 3047 college or the clothes Zuruman gave her. It is precisely because of this that her wardrobe will never be like it is now, with so many clothes that they can't be stuffed in. Tell me, which of you two did this? After she quickly stuffed the shirt that was about to fall off again, she finally couldn't help asking Kyoshi and Stephanie. Although Yuruman would buy her clothes on weekdays, she hasn't come to her house since she was injured. So now that the clothes are stuffed to the brim, she can only ask Kyoshi and Stephanie. As soon as she finished speaking, Stephanie smiled and said, Ziohuahu and I did it together. Hearing this, she couldn't help but frown. However, the other party still smiled like a flower, as if waiting for her praise. Kyoshi didn't expect Stephanie to confess so quickly. Jiu, you also know that we lived together some time ago, and there are often discounts on Star online shopping. Wen Jiu could understand the rest without her saying anything. The two girls lived peacefully before. Although their relationship was not very good, they were surprisingly tacit in shopping. In addition to liking to buy for themselves, they were also keen on buying for the people they liked. The only person that Kyoshi and Stephanie liked was Wen Jiu. Well, you guys just go crazy buying for yourself next time. If I need it, I will find you to get a discount. At this point, she couldn't say anything. In addition, this was originally a gift from Stephanie and Kyoshi, and it didn't make sense for her to stop them from giving gifts. Besides, other people's wallets had nothing to do with her. So Wen Jiu temporarily accepted the pile of clothes and picked out a few good ones. Just when she was about to go to the bathroom with her clothes to change, she suddenly saw Stephanie standing in front of her and said, Jiu, how about letting me and Shishi dress you up? The other party's eyes were too hot, but her heart was calm. Don't force it. If your aesthetics are different. She pushed Stephanie away. I don't want to dye my hair rainbow for the second time. When she saw the other party's exaggerated and gorgeous makeup, she remembered her fear of being dominated by rainbow hair. In fact, Stephanie's aesthetics are still online. Although the other party's makeup and dress are a bit exaggerated, the color matching and clothing matching are generally quite harmonious and beautiful. However, she personally prefers a simple, comfortable and casual style. If Kyoshi was rejected, she would definitely not come up and force it again. But Stephanie is different. Her perseverance and patience are always reflected in some strange ways. For example, now, she has no embarrassment or self-consciousness of being rejected. She took out the portable makeup box from the wisdom ring and then squeezed into the bathroom to find Wen Jiu. Why did you get in? The other party just changed her top and turned around to see her. Seeing this, Stephanie answered generously. I'll do your macup for you. Wen Jiu, the red and white checkered camisole you picked today is especially suitable for a red heart macup. Thank you, no need. Wen Jiu refused without thinking. She knew that Stephanie's macup skills were particularly good, but she really had no interest in this aspect. After staring at her for a few seconds, the other party sighed and continued. Wen Jiu, can't you satisfy me a little? I will definitely not mess it up for you this time. If you don't believe me, look at my macup today. Hearing this, Wen Jiu looked at Stephanie's dress. The other party used haze blue as a base on the upper eyelid and brushed lavender on the end of the eye and the eye bag. The combination of the two colors has a wonderful sense of fantasy. The middle of the upper eyelid and the inner corner of the eye are finely embellished with pearly white glitter, and every time I blink, there is a kind of water-light fluctuation beauty. It looks good, but she is really not interested. So the two of them talked back and forth in the bathroom for a long time. It was not until Kyoshi knocked on the door to remind her that it was almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon that Wen Jiu successfully escaped from Stephanie's forced selling. But before she walked out of the bathroom, the other party suddenly grabbed her and said, Wen Jiu, take a look. Are these the items that were taken away from you? Hearing this, she stopped and turned around. Stephanie took out a drawstring bag with a label of 199 on it, which was the number when she first arrived at the nursery base. Let me see. As she said, she took the drawstring bag. After opening it, in addition to a wisdom ring, there was only a pair of earrings made of thread silver. No need to confirm more. This is the item that was taken away from her by the nursery base. Today's second update has also been successfully delivered. Thank you for the support of every little angel. 030. Whisper. Every time I write about Stephanie's macup, the little author feels like I'm making a beauty tutorial. Chapter 724. Return to the holding center 1. It was 5:30 in the afternoon. The warm sunshine shone on people, bringing a warm and comfortable feeling. Walking on the street, you can often see people basking in the sun on the roadside. Compared with the previous cold season that was so cold that people were freezing to death, the upcoming hot season did not cause much impact and was still very popular among the residents of Planet 3047. The main reason was that the cold in the cold season was an invasion everywhere, and even if the heating was turned on, it could not be completely resisted. The heat in the hot season was different. Air conditioning, fans, ice drinks. There are always ways to solve it. Wen Jiu walked and observed, and didn't even notice that he fell behind. What are you looking at? Zhu Wangming was walking in the front, but when he turned around, he found that Wen Jiu was gone, so he could only go back the same way to look for him. Hearing this, Wen Jiu came back to his senses and said, look, I was just observing that ice drink shop. She had promised Ziziu to open a store in Danghu shopping mall before, but she was kidnapped by the 3rd military region just after the store was renovated. Now that she has returned to Planet 3047, she naturally wants to open a shop to make money. Her original plan was to open a small restaurant, just like the one she opened in the East Lake Scenic area before. However, after careful consideration, she always felt that there were other business opportunities to seize. The advantage of a small restaurant is that you can order at will, and the guests can eat a variety of food, but it is really busy to run it well. If it were her in the past, it would be okay to be a little busy, but Yuruman is still bedridden, and she really can't let it go. So compared to opening a shop to make star coins, she wants to spend more time with her. In this way, she began to think about changing the positioning of the store. She still has to open the shop, but she wants to be a little more relaxed. She wants to open a shop that can run smoothly, even if she is not in the shop. At present, the ice drink shop seems to be quite good. Ice drink shops are not easy to run in the cold season. Zhu Wangming did not complain about her lagging behind, but commented on her politely. Hearing this, Wen Jiu nodded and agreed. Indeed, but I can sell hot drinks in the cold season. At most, the ice drink shop can be turned into a milk tea shop, which can be opened in both hot and cold seasons. The two did not talk about the topic of opening a shop for too long, because they were now rushing to the shelter. That is, the stray animal shelter that Wen Jiu built with his own money and let Grandma Zhao manage it. Dr. Zhu, why is your laboratory so far from the bus station? Wen Jiu couldn't help but complain as they walked. Hearing this, Zhu Wangming spread his hands helplessly. There is no other way. For the sake of secrecy, this is the only way. He required the environment for doing experiments to be absolutely secretive and quiet, so Huang Qiumei found a remote location for him. To be honest, he himself did not expect that there would be a laboratory for doing experiments in such a far place. Forget it, we should be at the bus stop soon. Wen Jiu didn't say anything more, but just asked curiously, Dr. Zhu, where is your hovercraft? Zhu Wangming coughed awkwardly a few times. It was sent for inspection and hasn't come back yet. He didn't tell the specific reason because he was afraid that Wen Jiu would tell Rumen after hearing it. Hearing this, Wen Jiu didn't ask any more questions. The two walked side by side to the nearest floating bus stop and caught the bus to the shelter center in less than 2 minutes. On the other side, Stephanie rarely calmed down. She had been squatting in front of the cage for more than half an hour, which surprised Kaioshishi next to her. Woof, woof woof woof. Little Huang, be good, you have already eaten meat. You can't eat it anymore. She broke the dried meat in her hand while talking and then handed the broken small pieces to other animals. Seeing this, Zikingai came to Kaioshishi and whispered, Shishi, do you think she can really understand what they say? Maybe. The other party was busy recording the characteristics of this batch of animals. Besides, Nini doesn't need to pretend to understand. Being able to talk to small animals is rare, but it doesn't mean that such things don't exist. Kaioshishi knew that Wen Jiu had this ability, but she didn't know whether Stephanie really had it. However, whether the other party was real or fake had nothing to do with her. What she had to do now was to compare the information sent by Wang Nan with the characteristics she had just recorded and register them again. The main reason was that Wen Jiu and Zhu Wangming had to go to the research room, so they came to the shelter center first. Before separating from them, the other party specifically reminded them of several things. One of them was to obtain the information for comparison. If possible, it would be better to re-register it, so that it would be more convenient for Zhu Wangming to take it back for review. Because there were not many professionals on Wang Nan's side, a lot of the information had not been systematically organized. So Wen Jiu was worried that the information they got would not be convenient for Zhu Wangming to take back for Fenan research. Seeing that Kaioshishi was still busy, Zikingai helped her sort out the remaining information. The tacit understanding between the two of them became deeper and deeper, so they did things in an orderly manner. Little Snow White, you can't steal the meat of Little Spot. Stephanie's voice sounded again. She seemed to like these stray animals very much. She was talking to herself when she heard a sound of footsteps. With a creaking sound, Chu Jian walked in. The other party did not have a faint and unruly smile as usual. Instead, he had a cold face and a fierce and frightening aura. However, Stephanie seemed to have not noticed it. Little black cat, when will Jiu come? Chu Jian really couldn't understand this fearless girl. She and Dr. Zhu are on the way. After the words fell, the other party turned his head with a smile and continued to feed the small animals. Seeing this, he first glanced around the room and then walked to Kaioshishi's side. Have you sorted out all the information? Do you need my help? He just went to ask Wang Nan and other staff members, because they looked through some of the information together at the beginning and found that it only recorded the basic information of this batch of animals. Some daily situations were not recorded, so he went to ask a few staff members. Hearing this, Kaioshishi shook her head and replied, no, Zikingai and I sorted it out very quickly, and now there is only 1/3 left. The reason why they have been busy for so long is mainly because Wang Nan and Grandma Zhao, as well as some staff members who came from slums, are more accustomed to using paper and pen to record. If they use an electronic panel to record, they can import it with one click and then classify it. It's a pity that Grandma Zhao and others don't like to use electronic panels, so Kaioshishi and Zikingai can only remember and read one by one. In this way, work efficiency is reduced. This is the third update for today. Thank you all for your support again. 030. Chapter 725 Return to the Storage Center 2. When they were about to finish sorting out the information, Wen Jiu and Zhu Wangming finally arrived at the destination. Are these the stray animals that you suspected to be experimental subjects? Zhu Wangming asked Stephanie to catch a little white cat, and then he asked Wen Jiu about the situation of these small animals while scanning and checking with a portable instrument. The problem cannot be seen with the naked eye, so he cannot be sure that these stray animals are the experimental subjects abandoned by the 3rd military region. This is also the reason why he hesitated for a moment just now. If these stray animals are really experimental subjects, it would not be appropriate to call them animals. Hearing this, Wen Jiu quickly browsed the information sorted out by Kyoshi and answered, well, they were still alive and kicking when I came last time. I don't know why they have been getting more and more depressed recently. She originally planned to take care of her own affairs in the next few days and then take Zhu Wangming to the stray animal shelter for examination. Who knew that Wang Nan called her in the afternoon and said that these stray animals have been wilting recently and the veterinarian has done several examinations but couldn't find any problems. Therefore, she could only put her own affairs on hold for the time being. After discussing the configuration of the medicine with Zhu Wangming, she and the other party hurried to the shelter center to check. Well, is there a special veterinary room here? Zhu Wangming stared at the testing instrument in his hand with a serious expression. Seeing this, Wen Jiu immediately asked Wang Nan to vacate the veterinary room. Fortunately, it was already the end of the working time of the shelter center, and there was only one veterinarian on night shift in the veterinary room, so Wang Nan successfully vacated the place by saying something. Zhu Wangming first put the little white cat in his arms on the table, and then found a clean blood drawing needle from the drawer. The little white cat just lay on the table blankly, and did not mean to resist when he saw the needle. Therefore, he quickly drew blood for testing, and then he put the test tube containing blood into the instrument. Everyone in the room watched him operate quietly. Seeing this, he couldn't help but laugh and said, why are you all staring at me, making me look like a rare animal? No, Dr. Zhu, why can you even treat animal diseases? Zeking guy who is the most curious and can't keep secrets. Well, this is a personal interest. He didn't know how to explain it for a moment. He couldn't say that he had been in the research institute before, and the confidential experimental project he participated in that year was to integrate animal genes into human genes. In order to reduce the risks in gene fusion surgery and to increase the success rate, the pharmaceutical personnel, must learn knowledge related to animals. After all, the medicines they prepare must be suitable for both humans and animals. Although Wen Jiu already knew about his past deeds, it did not mean that he was willing to reveal secrets to these innocent children. Hearing this, Zeking guy looked at him with admiration. Dr. Zhu, can personal interests and hobbies develop to this extent? Do you have any experience to pass on to me? These words really confused Zhu Wangming. He stared at the other party's expression that did not seem to be fake and silently thought about how he should answer. But before he could speak, he heard Wen Jiu help out. Okay, let's talk about those experiences after the business is done. Dr. Zhu, you just rushed to the veterinary room. Did you find anything new? Well, I just used the instrument to conduct a simple examination of this little white cat. He also returned to the topic. I found that there is a fluctuation similar to supernatural energy in its body. After the words fell, there was silence. Because ordinary animals cannot have supernatural energy fluctuations. Everyone knows what Zhu Wangming said. The 3rd military region is really evil. Zeking guy couldn't help but clench his fists. Hearing this, Kyoshi took a deep breath and agreed with the crimes they committed. Even exile to a garbage planet is not enough to relieve their hatred. Exile to a garbage planet is too light for them. Chu Jiayan's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Those people should also undergo a gene fusion operation. The three of them all looked indignant, but the expressions of the other three were different. Zhu Wangming seemed to have expected this result, so there was only a terrifying coldness on his face. His hidden memories are now revealed bit by bit, so he remembered a lot of days in the research institute. At that time, he was devoted to studying medicine and never cared about what experiments the research institute was going to do, so he was selected to participate in the gene fusion plan. At that time, the research institute was under the banner of human development, so he had been cooperating with the implementation of the plan seriously. Even though he knew that the research institute used living people for experiments, he did not feel guilty or uncomfortable because of it. It was not until Uruman came to his side like a drop from the sky that he realized how excessive what he had done was. Although he did not participate in the operation, he was also an accomplice, so he chose to escape. After he woke up, Zhu Wang knew that the experimental subjects that failed the fusion plan had to be destroyed in a centralized manner, but he did not know that the destruction of the third military region was to throw these experimental subjects on various low-level planets or garbage planets, like throwing away garbage. Direct destruction can at least relieve the pain of the experimental subjects, but it is too cruel to keep the animal form, but have human consciousness like this. At this moment, he could not imagine how many experimental subjects were forced to survive in animal form. Although the Federation has special laws to protect animals, there are countless planets in the entire Federation. Therefore, the phenomenon of abusing or abandoning animals still exists, but it is not so common after the legal restrictions. Even if they do not encounter malicious people, they may not be able to find a place to stay. The main reason is that he had heard Wen Jiu say before that their aggressiveness is particularly strong, but it has only been reduced recently, and stray animals with too strong aggressiveness are not easy to be adopted by kind people. As a result, most of the abandoned experimental subjects can only stay in the shelter and wait for death, or go through the ups and downs alone like Chujian did in the past. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but sigh heavily. Some things have already happened, and he can't undo them. What he can do now is to do his best to help this group of stray animals. Dr. Zhu, can they hand it over to the federal headquarters as evidence? Wen Jiu's expression was very calm. It's just that her tone of voice was not as pleasant as before, but instead carried a bit of imperceptible coldness. Today's first update has been successfully delivered. Please check it out. Little Angels 030. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.